Yo, no maniacs, super no maniacs, and all in between. Welcome to another edition of Some Extra Sauce. Your boys are back in the building, man. We apologize for the delay. It seems like it's an ongoing thing, but sometimes things happen, man. We got people that Trip is producing his stuff in the background, and all kind of stuff can go on. What just happened there? All kinds of things can go on behind the scenes that can prevent us from coming out live, but we'll try to do better about that moving forward. Apologize, you guys again. Listen, Caleb spoke today, and there's some particular conversations we need to have around that. None of them bad. Glad to hear that he spoke. I'm glad he got that thing out of the way. I really am. But, all kinds of conversations need to be had tonight, plus all the hot topics and everything that we do on Some Extra Sauce, man. We're going to do all of that tonight. Thank you, all the people that are here right now. There's only a few people here. We'll just kicking around and just have fun for a little bit while everybody starts to file in, man. But again, apologize to you guys for being a little bit late. But I'm going to pass the rock over to Canada. I'm going to throw him an alley-oop this time and see if he a donkey.
Boom. With the right hand. Hey, man, it's Wednesday night. We're doing it like we always do at this time. Try to take over the world, as a couple of mice would say. Otherwise, we're doing it big with some extra sauce. Caleb Williams did a little bit of discussion. Our guy Ben Johnson did a little bit of discussion. There's been some folks chopping it up this week. It was interesting. There was also 1900 Football Drive. We're going to get into all of those things. And some other things too. So it should be some fun, right? By all means, jump into the chat, make your impression felt, and let me give love to those who love us, and we'll get down and dirty into it as per normal. There's some of the good heads jumping in here right now. We're gonna start the darn thing off with the man with the wrench himself. We're gonna start it off with It's Crimson. It's Crimson's out there. Big shout out to our guy Crimson. Thanks for coming through, being the first No Maniac in the building tonight. Followed closely by a super No Maniac. His name is the good minister Charles Johnson. Thanks for coming through. By all means, like, share, and subscribe to the Nomad Network. Give a little bit of love right here where you're at. Give a little bit of love to this guy right here, Kedza Canuck on YouTube. We are multi-streaming like we do it about this time. We've also got who else is out there with us? The King himself with the wrench. Booker World is with us tonight. He's hanging out. Levante Rogers just jumped in. Mad respect to you. You already know it's going to be one heck of a conversation with these particular characters in the building. But speaking of folks in the building, everybody's favorite chef is here with us tonight. So we're gonna bring him in. He's got some fantastic food items to share with us. And, before I do, by all means, like, share, and subscribe over at Sports Chicago Style, where you'll find fantastic food items. The chef, Triple R, Trips, Trippin', you'll find them all over there doing the darn thing. But speaking of doing the darn thing, here he is himself, Chef Trips. Good day, sir. How you doing down there, man?
Hey. Oh, we are not doing the introduction?
Oh, maybe we should do that, eh? We could do that, too. Yeah, let's do that. I think the man deserves an introduction.
Chef Trips is MFer in the kitchen.
And here's everybody's favorite MFer in the kitchen.
Bring it tonight. Bring it tonight, Chef. I'm hungry.
Hello. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're live and direct, Chef. What it do?
Welcome to the kitchen of Chef Trips, and I'm your owner and proprietor, and also known as a MFer in the kitchen, Chef Trips. And I'd like to say hello to all of the maniacs who are in the house and those who are outside of the house too. And for this week's extra sauce, I will be preparing the Salisbury steaks with the onion and mushroom gravy,
Oh no.
and the loaded mashed potatoes with bacon bits, with some sour cream, with the triple cheddar of the cheeses, and yes, and it will be a beautiful thing. So stay tuned and watch me do it live. And maybe you give me some tips. I give you some tips in the chat. And I got the also for the Minister Charles. I have the peas as well for the vegetables because we have to have the vegetables. So that is what we'll be preparing for MFR in the kitchen.
That's what I'm talking about. Chef Trips, fat boy shit, gravy, meat, and some loaded potato. Come on, dog. That's what I'm talking about. We need some fat boy shit going on right about now.
I can't
I
eat
love
any of this except for the peas right now. So let's do it.
Okay, so let's go to the get the food cooking. Uh, so let's go to the smaller camera that shows the stove,
All right.
and then we can get it going, and then we can carry on with some of the football talk from there while the food is cooking.
All right. You
All right.
on. You in the kitchen, Jack.
Now, what we will do first, I will need a volunteer from the Maniacs in the chat to be a timekeeper. Do we have here who is going to be here and be the timekeeper?
Hmm.
I don't know. You want to ask the no maniacs? You go ahead, kid.
All right, he's looking for a timekeeper, folks. We would by all means appreciate anyone if they did that. Um, feel free to give us a little bit of love in the chat, and we'll do exactly that. In the meantime, shout out to Paul Rodriguez, who just jumped in. What it do, sir? Florida Bears fan just came through to join us as well. Anybody will do as far as that timekeeping situation is concerned. In the meantime, I may volunteer. Oh, look, the good minister just jumped in. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that.
Appreciate that, Minister Charles. I love. You know what? I had some. My girlfriend works, and she works in a senior care facility, but they have real like chefs in there, man. Like I don't know if I said this live. I probably did. They have real chefs that come in on shifts, and they sometimes they make some really good stuff. Like there's one like some of the soups are very very unique. Barley soup, really good. Some of the Salisbury steak they make is really good, but the potato soup that they made recently, cheddar potato soup, man, it was off the chain, dude. She brought some of that home with her. It was really really good, man. So, Trips making the kind of stuff that's right up my alley. This is the kind of stuff that I try to eat only once in a while.
That is very understandable because you will be living that fat boy lifestyle with that fat boy ass. So right now, while the skillet is heating up to a medium high hot heat, can you please show the video while the potatoes and the garlic that is floating around in there is coming up to a boil? And do we have a volunteer for the timekeeper as of yet?
We do. The good minister Charles Johnson will help us out as a timekeeper, so he's volunteered for that.
Well, that is very appreciated. And just FYI, I will inform the good minister of when to begin by saying start, and that is when the water starts to boil. And just FYI, if you can see here, I have a cup of milk that I will introduce to the potatoes later to make them very smooth and very creamy. But the milk is out now so that it is warming up so it will not mess with the temperature of the mashed potatoes. So the milk is there and it's getting heated up naturally.
Okay. All right, let's run. You want me to roll that potato prep?
Please.
I'm rolling. You know what? I'm gonna do this again because I know you're saying some kind of awesomeness. I'm sure. Let's try this one more time. No. All right.
We clean and peel our potatoes, then we cut them in half, then we cut those in half to make them quartered. Then place them in a big pot. Then we will
I like the
also
way you do it with
quarter
the fork.
2 to 3 cloves of garlic and put those in the pot also. Then cover with cold water.
Yeah,
I love it.
yes, thank you very much, the Canucks. I have found that peeling the potatoes with the fork gives you more stability and prevents the slippage and the droppage of the potato or any kitchen accidents that could cause the bleeding.
I think it's a good idea. I screw around and you wind up with bloody potatoes. Realistically, that's basically what happens. But you just wash them off and eat it anyways. It's my blood.
That is very true. Now we have, just so you know, we have 4 of the Salisbury steaks. Can you see the cameras? I cannot see.
Looking good, beefy.
The food view, please. There we go. So we got 2 and 2. They are approximately the same size and the same shape, but I am not that concerned as they are all about a quarter pound. So we want those to just sear for approximately 1 minute or so.
Shout out to everybody just coming in. Smitty Q, Cliff Victoria. Shout out to Florida Bears fan, plus Minister Charles, Avante. All you guys are just busted up in this piece. Shout out to all you guys.
Hello and welcome to all of the No Maniacs, and we welcome you to the kitchen of Shea Trips, and I'm your owner proprietor Chef Trips, and this is a M effort in the kitchen, and I do hope that you try this recipe or these foods in your kitchen, and that will be very tasty and very beautiful to your taste buds.
You
And be
guys,
sure to also subscribe to our channel at Sports Chicago Style for all kinds of lifestyle content, as well as the Chicago Bears football talk. So we will do our thing, and a shout out to Trip. Hello, Trip. Excuse me, very moment. I dropped something. As Trip always believes that he is the bald head stepchild. So I will show him some love. Now I will flip our steaks over.
you got a comment. You got a comment, Chef.
Please do share.
Which you already did, but I'm gonna read it anyway. Levante Rogers said, "Let it sear for about 2 or 3 minutes on each side, Chef."
Thank you very much for sharing.
Which you're doing a good job of that. That's definitely a good job of that. I don't know if somebody might need to tell you, man, that hamburger make its own grease.
It does. It does very well. That's why you do not use a lot of oil at the beginning. You just want enough to coat the skillet, so you do not get too crusty of the burn.
I hear that. It's been a while since I made hamburger steaks and gravy, man. That's one of my girlfriend's favorite trips, man. She loves that. Good onion gravy with some mushrooms in that thing. Oh,
I
oh,
believe you will refer to me as chef.
chef, my fault. My fault. I got to get in character myself.
And then our potatoes, the water is starting to heat up, and the garlic will put the flavor in the water from the beginning of the cooking. So that will make the infusion of the garlic taste more strong and more powerful throughout the potatoes.
Man, shout out to Cliff Victoria. Just jumped in. Cliff came right in time for an MF in the kitchen. Trust me. Always got some kind of food going on between the two of them. And right
That
now
is
we got
very true.
Salisbury steak and loaded potatoes, I think. So hope y'all brought your palate.
Hey, kids, I'm gonna ask you a loaded question because you've been on the show eating strawberries and shit. Are you a foodie?
Am I a foodie?
Are you a foodie?
Bear shit in the woods. I'm about as foodie as it can get. Unfortunately, uh, my foodie just kicked me in the nuts. So I'm,
How about this? Are you trying to be a more disciplined foodie?
I've always been a food connoisseur. I love food. At the end of the day, I'm learning how to eat much more disciplined, cook much more disciplined, drink much more disciplined. To be actual and factual with you guys today, I'm now making my own juices. This is what I've graduated to because I can't find a damn thing to drink. Everything out there that you're drinking it's just loaded with sugar. I don't like the flavor, the aftertaste of aspartame. So I don't like Diet Pop. I don't Diet Soda. I don't like it. So I've been making these crazy juices, and it's sort of it's a smoothie-esque lemonade, and it's what I make.
Well,
Yeah.
you mind if I part right quick and jump in here because Cliff Victoria just put a comment up there. I would
Boys.
love to speak to. He says I made beef stroganoff with some strip steaks, and I wanted to use out of the freezer. I'm on keto, and it's interesting figuring out how to make recipes keto. I use cauliflower instead of noodles.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what. About 2 years ago, when I first started podcasting, that I had a struggle with that. Cliff, it's hard to find the noodles that you're looking for, man. I'm just telling you right now, that's going to be a journey. But if you can get the easiest thing to do is get you a spaghetti slicer you can make spaghetti out of vegetables, like out of zucchini or squash or something like that. That's very, very popular. I would suggest doing that while you're on your hunt to try and find that some cauliflower noodles. I've tried some, but they ain't that good. Just gonna put it out there.
So I use I use cauliflower as a potato substitute. That's kind of how I do it. Um, for noodles, they've got these, and they're pretty good. It took me a minute to kind of get used to it, but it kind of has its own flavor. But there's a sweet potato Let me try to say that again. Sweet potato noodle that's out there you can buy at the grocery store. I'm sure low glycemic. It's real good, man. I actually really like the sweet potato noodle. Quite frankly, I'm killing sweet potatoes left, right, and center. It's probably my favorite side right now on a similar diet.
Right now, Cliff, to be honest with you, and by the way, Chef, great sear on that burger, on those burgers. Those are great sears.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
do you want me to run that prep for this for the Salisbury steak?
We will do that once we get the cooking going.
Okay, you just keep me on point.
Yeah, Cliff. The noodles. It's guaranteed because I started off with getting bad keto bread when I first started doing the diet. But I found some great bread, man. Aunt Millie's in the store, one carb per slice. You cannot beat that. You can find that out there. It's pretty much everywhere now. But the noodles, I think they're catching up. I guess scientifically how they make them, but the noodles are horrible, man. I'm telling you right now, it's horrible. Man,
Well,
I've ordered stuff and it's still bad.
I'm telling you, man. Check out them sweet potato noodles. They are surprisingly good. They are a little bit sweeter than your standard noodle, but if you're talking about like a pasta, like a red sauce pasta, it works out really well. Oh, a keto flour. Interesting. That sounds like an interesting move. Like
there's
And
keto
now,
flour.
momentarily, let me interrupt you to
Mhm.
let you know that in the same grease that the Salisbury steaks just came out of, that they made, I am now putting in some of the onions, some of which are diced, and some of which will be stripped to have the different lengths and the different textures within the gravy itself.
This is going. I already know that you getting a comment from Paul Rodriguez. He said this dish is going to hit. You damn right it is, Paul. You can see that coming already. When he
Thank you
gets,
very much, Mr. Paul.
when he makes that roux up, chef is on it. He's on it. This is one of your like this is your grandma's favorite. I'm gonna get my grandbabies right when they come over here meal, man.
Yeah, like Cliff is saying, good pan temperature. I was gonna say the exact same thing because you're keeping it nice. You're really getting all the flavor and juice out of them onions, man. Well played there, chef.
Thank you very much. The sear happened on a medium high heat, and I reduced the heat to just below a medium for the onions. And then I also am scraping the bottom of the skillet to get all of the bits and the pieces from the Salisbury steaks into and the flavor into the onion.
Mm-hmm.
I know one thing about those cast iron skillets, man. Once they get a heat, boy, they can maintain it really, really well, and you ain't got to have that thing really, really high to keep it there either. That thing can keep a good heat once you got it hot where it needs to be.
Ron Monowski, you're messing around, right, Ron?
As I cannot see the chat, what is SD Ron saying?
He's talking about we need to cook
Monarski
some
got
line
shot.
meat.
Ron Monarski got Charlie Sheen's chef cooking for him over there.
Hey, Cliff is saying he misses his gas stove. Cliff, when I came back to Chicago, the area, one of the things that I when I came in here and I had to come refurbish this house that one of my uncles used to own, and I had to go do work to it. You know what I mean? But one of the things I made sure I did while I was in there setting everything up, I gutted it and rebuilt it basically. And in the kitchen, I have a 4-burner electric stove, and on the other side, I have a 6-burner gas stove. So I got two. I thought twice. I wanted to put it downstairs, and I'm gonna still put another one downstairs. But I am a foodie, bro, and I like to cook. But I made sure that I have both in my kitchen.
I did add a little salt and a little pepper to these onions as they caramelize.
Shout out to Ant Monster, just busted up in here. Ron Winarski. Shout out to you people, man. We're gonna keep it going, man. Those onions are
Hello
looking.
to the Ant Moss. And now the Minister Charles, please start the timer for the 15 minutes as the potatoes are starting to boil.
There you go, minister. Good minister. Hook a brother up.
Can I have a confirmation that it is going?
I'll let you know when he says something.
Thank you very much. And now that the onions are softening and starting to get a nice golden brown, as we do not want to overcook them, we will now introduce our next ingredient
All right.
of our gravy,
There you
which
go.
will be.
There you go, chef. He just gave you your timer.
Thank you very much.
So you got yourself a timer, and just for for all
And now
intents and purposes, it's 9:34 on the East Coast. So at 9:50 or 8:50 y'all time, it's 15 minutes. We'll be ready to go.
Now that we've added about a tablespoon of butter, we will add our mushrooms. And give them a good mix.
Crimson was early and late.
Shout out to Clemson. He must have came in here and then and left for a second. He wants to know what's on the menu, Chef. Just give him a quick rundown.
We're having Salisbury steaks with onion and mushroom gravy, with loaded mashed potato, with loaded garlic mashed potatoes.
Hey, kids,
Mm-hmm.
I need you to do me a favor, man. Just be quasi host for a minute, man. I got some stuff that I going on around the house here, man. I'll tell you about it later after late in the show or something when you're ready to close. But it's a little bit of wildness going on around here. I got to monitor right quick, but I'll be right back.
Do what you must, sir.
Be right
I'll
back.
hold the fort down like I do.
Okay, now we have our milk is getting warm. We have our peas, which are about to warm now, so we can turn the heat down and let's let them simmer.
Cliff got the onion. It's kind of funny, man. That's that Cajun, the cayenne.
That down by the bayou.
By the
and
bayou.
that is that you mentioned the Cajun and cayenne, while the onion and the mushroom are going. You can play the video talking about the fish, the salmon.
The salmon.
You can let that play while the nomad is gone, and these
the
are
onion.
cooking.
Oh, looky there. Would you believe that? All right. We're going to get into some cayenne, some real cayenne. He isn't even playing around. All right, Chef. I can dig it. Here we go.
Okay, fellas, I'm back. Hey, something I wanted to before Trips gets into this. Trips about to eat. No, he's not. That's his video, huh?
Yeah. Let me.
There is no volume though.
Yeah.
You need to start from the beginning with the volume.
There's volume. Boom.
Ron Winarski says, Chef, don't forget the Green Bay cheese.
I don't hear anything.
Maybe there's no volume on your side. I will try one more again. Let me try this one more time. Oh, my bad.
Hell yeah, them onions.
See, that's what I was saying. That's what got us here.
Today from Shay Trip.
Better?
Creole garlic honey butter
Yes.
salmon.
Oh man.
That looks kind of good.
Come on. Oh baby, don't you wanna go? Come
Hey,
on. Oh baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that same old place. Sweet home, Chicago.
Is that the end of the video?
No, he's
Chef
just started.
Trips.
Oh, okay.
For today's video recipe, I will be preparing Creole flavored with garlic, honey butter, salmon fillets. And they are beautiful. You can substitute Cajun seasoning for the Creole, but the Cajun seasoning, be aware, has a little bit more of the hotter spices, like more of the cayenne peppers. So if your intestines do not like the peppery as flavor, use the Creole instead. But if you like the more robust, spicy flavors, use the Cajun. Either way, they will be beautiful.
Good for the blood pressure. Get that blood going.
Heat the olive oil in a large skillet over a medium-high heat. Pat the fillets dry with a paper towel. Then sprinkle with the Creole seasoning and salt and pepper. You can use Cajun seasoning for a bit more of a spicier flavor. Place the fillets in the skillet, skin side down, if the skin is on, and cook for 4 to 5 minutes per side, or until the salmon is cooked through and has a nice sear.
Hey man, turn this one off. This got music
Find
in it.
all of the ingredients and
OG music.
step-by-step instructions.
There's music in it.
The
It's original music.
easy
It's
to
fine.
navigate Shay Trips page at sportschicagostyle.com.
Nothing's original.
Give the skillet a swirl as necessary to make sure all of the oil is lubricating all of the sides of the fish. Remove the salmon from the skillet and set aside. In the same skillet, reduce the heat to medium and add the butter. Once the butter is melted, stir in the honey, minced garlic, and lemon juice. Cook for 1 to 2 minutes, stirring frequently until the sauce thickens slightly. Turn off the heat. Return the cooked salmon to the skillet and spoon the garlic honey butter sauce over the fillets, coating them well.
Hey, turn this down, bro. What happened?
If you would like to support us on the Ko-fi or the Patreon, that would be much appreciated. Also, follow us on all of our social media platforms: Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as the YouTube page, all under Sports Chicago Style. It cuts very easily, and nice and flaky on the inside. Take a closer look before it goes down the hatch. Uh-oh. Mmm.
All right. When's the last time you ate salmon, man?
If you're asking a question, today. Real talk.
Today.
Yeah.
I can tell you that
In a couple of years.
right, the salmons is very flaky, very juicy, succulent, as they say. the honey, the sweetness dances on my lips, and I can taste the pungency of the garlic, but not too pungency, but the sweetness of the garlic and the butter. And then with the seasonings on the back of the tongue. So this fish is very good. It is very flaky. It is very healthy, filled with the protein and I believe the omega 3s. So the results are in, and this fish is beautiful. You should try it for yourself in your own kitchen. And please let me know in the comments how it turned out.
All right.
A beautiful sear on the skin as well.
All right.
And
I'll tell you what.
the rice.
Wait, hold that back home.
Skillet.
What is this here?
And stir it around in all of that beautiful garlic, honey, butter sauce. Thanks for watching. I hope you tried the recipe and see you next time.
Man, the chef
So
is a smart dude, man, because he then took the white rice, put it in with the honey garlic sauce that he made for the fish, stirred that up. Now you got yourself some honey garlic rice. Well played, sir.
thank you very much. And now we can go back to the main camera with the food. As while we were watching that video about the salmon, I added to the skillet. I added the onion powder, some garlic powder, some black pepper, some Worcestershire sauce,
Okay.
and the beef broth. Now I am adding our cornstarch slurry to make it a bit thicker.
Mm. Where are you
As
putting
it
the
now
cornstarch? In the onions?
into into the skillet,
Okay.
and then we stir it in, and then we thicken it nicely. As we do not want it to gather in one place too often. That's why we stir it as well. And so now all of our ingredients are in our gravy, and we make sure we give it a good mix as well. Oh, and I also forgot to tell you that there's a bouillon cube, a beef bouillon cube as well in there. So now that that's all mixed in, we will reintroduce our steaks.
Oh, this is like for real Salisbury steak. Wow. Okay. You're not playing around.
Is there any other way to do it?
I'm not like I've never made this dish before. I've never made Salisbury steak.
Yeah, you got to make it new.
I've eaten it at other people's houses and stuff, but I've never messed around and cooked this before.
And so now that we see how easy it is, I hope that you do try this, Mr. Katz.
Word up, I will.
And then now we submerge, and then we let it boil.
You know why I've never made this is because me and mushrooms aren't friends.
Well, you can always customize the ingredients to your taste, so you can leave out the mushrooms or the onion or whatever it is you do not like.
Mind you, I had the baddest mushrooms I ever had in my whole. Yeah, like crimson. You're straight up. That's basically the only Salisbury steak that I've ever had, man. I either have like a ribeye, a prime rib. You know what I mean? That's steak for me. But yeah, Stofers.
Like I've had Salisbury steak in so many different ways. I've had a real steak, and it's not the ground beef, but our ground beef is definitely my favorite Salisbury steak, man. I've eaten so many different versions of it. You're talking about with rice, you're talking about with mashed potatoes, you're talking about with onion gravy. Now, kids, you mentioned something about mushrooms, man. I would challenge you to study the mushroom group. It might be just plain you just got bad mushrooms because those mushrooms in particular weren't good for you. Now, the mushroom group has a lot of variety to it. So if you ever want to do something like this, check out the mushroom groups.
Yeah, like it's funny.
By the way, time's up, Trips. By the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Chef Charles is Minister Charles is letting you know.
And FYI, I am bringing the skillet to a boil, and it will thicken up before we reduce the heat to let it simmer. Go ahead and continue, please.
Okay. Yeah, I had the best mushrooms I've ever had very recently. Like it came with a steak, and I was just chopping through the steak, and I accidentally chopped up some of these mushrooms and ate it at the same time, and I was like, oh my God, these are fantastic. So I may have to revisit my disdain for mushrooms and potentially reintegrate them into my life. The major reason why is because I kind of can't eat anything, so like, might as well eat the mushrooms.
So the Scrolls is saying, he said, my wife does a Japanese style Salisbury steak dish that I am that I had the same ingredients but has a bit of soy sauce in the gravy. I use Worcestershire instead of store.
Oh,
I use Worcestershire.
you'd be
Yes,
surprised.
you can use either or for the different flavors. As his wife being of the Asian culture and descent, the soy sauce is more prevalent than the Worcestershire sauce in that culture. But either or are very flavorful, but do not use both, as you will have too much of the sodium or the salt.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
man, that soy gets used in different ways, man.
And the sodium is there, it's present. You know what I mean? You just gotta, I water a lot down too. When I'm doing stuff like this, I water it down quite a bit. I'll use a lot more accent than I actually use, to be honest with you.
Huh.
A whole lot less sodium. But how about this? While Trips is Chef is letting that simmer, y'all want to talk about some football a little bit?
Why not? What do you got up your sleeve?
Let me put him on mute a little bit. Let's take that off the screen while that's simmering. Let's just talk around football before Chef gets back into, or Trips gets back into the studio to talk about actual football. I don't know if you heard about the story about what's his name, Stefon Diggs and the Patriots. He just signed a 3-year, $69 million deal and got caught on a boat. The reports are he got caught on a boat with several females and a suspicious pink substance in a bag, flashing it on camera. You know anything about the pink substance going on around right now? It's basically a pink version of the white stuff and GHB. It's a mixture of it, and they call it Tusi. And so that's they say it's a video out there. I didn't have time to see it. I saw that probably about 15, 20 minutes before we went live. But yeah, man, Stefon Diggs just signed a 3-year, $69 million deal and just gets caught on a boat with some pink stuff,
So, what do you mean gets caught?
It's on camera, from what I hear.
It's on camera. So,
Well,
like Odell Beckham was on camera?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Okay, all right. Is what it is. Whatever. You know what I mean? When you say get caught, I'm worried that it was like the police caught him with that, and now it's a major problem because he's being charged. If he's not being actually charged, he's just a douche. Right? Like that's probably the easiest way to put it. So the question is whether the Patriots wish to employ a douche or not.
There's that world, douche, and then there's dummy too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean.
There's dummy, like I had a very, very eventful last 72 hours, 48 hours, I would say. Stuff that I hope maybe I'll talk to y'all about at the end of the show. But one of my really, really cool ass cousins, he got into addiction real, real early. I was going on a different trajectory. He went on another one. I'm going to school and doing that kind of thing and trying to live that kind of clean life. He went the other way. What I'm getting at is, I don't know the exact truth about how he passed away, but he was found unresponsive, and they had to put him on a machine. The machine, kind of breathed for him for 24 hours, and they had to unplug him. And my assumption, and it's just totally my assumption, I don't know the truth, but if I know my cousin the way I know my cousin, he probably got a hold of something. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about out here. You don't know what you're getting. That's where the dummy comes in. I'm not calling my cousin a dummy whatsoever. He was just truly addicted. He was truly addicted. But the dummy comes in when you're not addicted and you just want to be playing around, playing games for the camera, trying to act like you this hot boy and you this popular guy. Like, come on, dog. You can have all that kind of fun without all that. You're an NFL player, bro.
Yeah, so I'll also say this, and I don't really mean it in his defense, but it's gonna slightly come off like I'm defending the guy. Here's the thing, you know, you have a whole bunch of women around you like that. Odds are, it's catnip, if you will. No,
Dog, that is nothing. That is I can't let you simplify it like that.
I'm not
It's
sure if
it's
I'm not sure if it's
not that
simple.
it's not that anymore. It's very, very that shit's life altering right there. This shit will kill you right now.
I'm not. I can't. Like I say, that goes without saying. I'm just saying that there's a possibility and potential that maybe he didn't do it at all. Maybe he just happened to have it as party favors for the attendees, if you will.
That could have been too, but
That's what I mean by catnip.
that could have been too.
So,
I,
he's an
I
athlete.
don't know that he's not addicted, Levante. I don't know that.
Well, there's that. There's also the other factor that like he should be getting tested in some capacity on a semi-regular basis, especially if you're going to a new team who's just now signed you to another, a new deal. That should come out too. So, if that's found in his system, I'm sure there's going to be a bit of an issue with it. And that issue is for the Patriots to determine. If it's not found in his system, then maybe he just had it for the attendees, as I'm stating here, because
It's I think it's more of a sensitive subject for me because I just had so much addiction going on around me in my life. I'm never surprised of what I'm not because I consciously chose what I was going to be, what I wasn't going to be, and I was never going to be a drug addict ever. I was never going to be an addict, man. But that has taken down so many people around me, man. I couldn't even. The list is so effing long, and I know I ain't the only one in the world. There's a lot of people out here, probably several people in this chat right now that understand exactly where I'm coming from, man. That shit is nothing, especially now. Like everything is getting cut with this fentanyl, and you don't know exactly what you're getting. Oh, my homeboy, I've been buying this from him for years, man. You don't know what he don't even know what the fuck he's getting at. Come on, man.
So we kind of talking about Stefon Diggs, the Scrolls. Thanks, Cliff. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. Like addiction is one thing. It is a disease all unto itself. I just don't. I would be very surprised that he like. And let's put it this way: like Odell Beckham, since being seen in that capacity, has not been the same player. As that sort of came out, and I'll be surprised if Stefon Diggs is the same player if he's really dabbling into this type of activity. So I will be surprised if it's really him. I would be much less surprised if it was for the general public that was on the boat or wherever he was doing this.
Yeah.
Was he on a boat?
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I just what I hear.
Jeff Tripp, how you doing over there, buddy? I got you.
Yes, I would like to say, Nomad, condolences for your cousin.
Yes.
As I can speak from experience that we've all had family members who have succumbed to the pipe or to whatever drug it is, or may have lost the battle and the fight for life and unalive themselves. We never know what pain people have mentally or physically, and we hope that they can see the positives and how maybe if the poisons are poisoning them, they can get off. But it's not always that easy, as we have seen from our friends, family, and neighbors. So prayers out to all of those who suffer with that monkey on their back, and all of the family members who have to suffer because of the family member with the monkey on their back and have to worry about things that you should not have to worry about from family. So yes, with that said, I have to inform you that just to take a quick peek before we get back to the conversation, that the Salisbury steaks are simmering, as you can see. Can you see there?
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Here, let me get you blown up here. Boom.
Okay, there we go. We have our steaks with the mushroom and onion gravy simmering, and then we'll put the cover back on. And then for our potatoes, I mushed them down, and I left some of the not big chunks, but not very smooth, because I like a little body to the potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put in a little garlic powder, a little onion powder, a little ground pepper, a little bit of salt, and the cheeses we are using are the triple cheddar, a blend of mild white, medium, and sharp cheddar cheeses, and then also the sour cream, and then the bacon from earlier. And then when I say earlier, real quickly, if you can run the potato prep while I stir them, please.
Hey, chef.
Yes.
I like a little body making my potatoes.
A little what?
A little body making my potatoes. You said you like body in your potatoes. Never mind.
Yes. Yes. Did you say a little body of bacon?
No, a little body making my potatoes.
He's talking about midgets again. Don't worry about it. Sure.
Oh, is that some of the little people fetish talk? I am not deep into that world, but whatever floats your boat, my brother.
What are we talking about, Minister Charles? See, I said I just find it hard to cast past judgment without proof. We don't want it done to us, but we are quick to do it. I don't know what we're talking about.
We
Did you,
cook until our potatoes, then we cut them in half, then we cut those in half,
We played this already.
quartered.
did we get it on?
Yes, we already did this. You can turn this one off.
Okay, we're good then. And we played the other one. Because there were only two, correct? Hello.
Ked, you muted, man. We already played this one.
My bad. We didn't do the Salisbury steaks prep, so let me rock that one.
Over a medium heat, fry a few.
Oh, that's what we're talking about. That's that bacon he was talking about.
Over a medium low to medium heat in the same skillet with the bacon grease. Add about a half a cup of diced onions and coat them well in the grease. Add a teaspoon each of salt and pepper. Once golden brown after about 5 to 6 minutes, set the onions aside and let cool. In a large bowl, mix 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of mustard, 1 teaspoon of ketchup, about 3 cloves of minced garlic, our cooled onions, a half a cup of breadcrumbs, a quarter cup of milk. I am utilizing coconut milk to make it a bit healthier. 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, a half of teaspoon of dried oregano, a quarter teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt. Mix well. Then add a pound of ground beef or ground beef chuck, whatever you are using. Combine well, but do not over mix. Divide into approximately 4 patties and shape them in an ovalish manner. And then set aside in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes before cooking.
All right.
Hey, Crimson said, man, why so light on the garlic, homie?
Well, in the potatoes or in the gravy? Which one? Because
I think he means in the Salisbury steak itself.
Well, we do have the.
Oh, you put 3 cloves in there, though. I saw you put 3 cloves.
Yes, we do. We put the minced the garlic in the panade for the Salisbury steak. We put that together. Or the Scrolls, knowing him, he's probably being a smartass and saying that we have too much garlic in the potatoes.
No, that was Crimson.
Well, that doesn't mean that Scrolls is still not a smartass.
Yeah, right now, Mr. Charles being a smart ass right now.
Well, he is and he
Well,
isn't.
let me speak to Minister Charles. You can have your say on Minister Charles.
Oh, all right.
Minister Charles has been coming in here being a Judas lately. Every time I say something, he got something to say behind it. I'm a little chippy tonight. I ain't gonna lie to you. So be cool, homeboy. I ain't trying to hear all that bullshit tonight.
Well, I hear what he's saying. Don't put the man on blast, but my
I just told the story. That's all I did.
I'm not mad at you.
That's all I did. Like every fucking other podcaster, how are we trying to dirty somebody's name? Stop caking for that, man. Fuck that.
The downside is that he dirtied his own name by putting putting himself on blast. So, right, like if you're dumb enough to take video of yourself partying on a boat, just like Odell, you probably don't want to catch, you might want to edit that video before you go posting it. Is I guess a better way to put it.
I come from the generation that if you're criming, you don't leave your own evidence.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Cameras everywhere. How people not going to talk about that if you're doing some shit like that? Somebody going to say something. We doing a podcast. We're podcasters. That's what the hell we do. So that's what we doing. Mr. Charles, man. I'm gonna just tune him out.
But then also you cannot be upset at people talking about it when he himself posted the actual video on the social media for the attention. So you can't be mad at the people giving the person attention when that's exactly what the person wanted. Be mad at the person for wanting the attention and doing the activities that would make it attention worthy.
What would it be in the Bears universe if either one of us got caught doing that? I heard Chef Trips, I heard Kids of Canuck, I heard Nomad got caught and it's on camera. All that kind of shit. People gonna talk about it. That's just what it is. You don't do shit if you don't want people to talk about it.
But then you cannot deny the video when you're the one posting it.
This is the problem. You don't invite people into your bedroom, unless you want to get caught fucking. You know what I'm saying?
Wasn't this a issue back in the day with the love boat scandal of the Minnesota Vikings?
Well, yes, it just wasn't quite as. I don't think it was quite as egregious as this or Odell. The Odell was dumb, and it was a prime example to pay attention to what the hell you're doing before you go posting stuff. And let's be real, there's a lot of silly things that have been posted, including Kyle Long's junk over the course of the last few years that you should probably learn a little bit of a lesson about going wild. Now, let's also say that maybe Diggs was partaking in the festivities, and that was the reason why he decided to you know what I'm saying? Hard to say, but I think you fucked up.
Well, also, whatever substance it was or may not have been, is it illegal or against the league rules?
Yeah.
And then, as Kaz was saying, is it the catnip for the chickens that are clucking all over his Johnson?
Man, let's I'm tuning this out. But yeah, Crimson. It's a bunch of kids, man, I mentored over the years that really do look to me for that kind of leadership, man. To be honest with you, ain't nothing that I asked for, but it's just what I ended up doing over years, and they still look to me for that. It's almost like it's almost like it is like having kids, man. It really is. It's like these people that look to you to be on the straight and narrow. And if you slip up, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. To be honest, I tell these kids all the time. I was like, y'all kept me straight more than I got y'all straight. You know what I mean? Just trying to be. You're going to be an example for somebody. You have to walk. You have to walk that walk. You talk it. You got to walk it, right? So yeah, he's. I mean, anyway, man, we could talk about that on and on. I really talk about some Bears. We got 99 days into actual NFL football kickoff, man. You guys want to talk about some of that?
We will
Sure.
also add some chives to our loaded potatoes. But yes, we can carry on.
All right, man. 99 days into kickoff, man. 99 days. That sounds like a long ways away, but that's going to be here faster than you all think. I can tell you that right now. It's going to be I think this is the last OTA session before actual training camp. I do believe. I think. Now, don't quote me on that one.
Well, sounds like things are working in OTAs right now. Ain't nobody getting yelled at. That's a good start. Ooh.
Well, now that the the OTAs are here, I'm sure that the topic of conversation, as was led off with the petty ass Chicago media, that they can ask the same question 4 or 5 times after the Caleb Williams answered it.
We're trying to get to that when you get out the kitchen, but yeah, if you want to
Well,
go there now.
we can just go there now because we have about another 10 to 15 minutes for the Salisbury steaks to simmer.
So let me correct myself. My guy Andre Bryan is in here to correct me. He said no, next week is another OTA. I don't know what I guess this is phase. That would be phase 4, and I think this is phase 2. No, it would be phase 3. I don't know. It's another phase of OTAs that I think they have to go through. I think that's what Andre is talking about.
I think Andre's bang on because they're saying that
Mandatory mini camp.
there's no expectation for for folks to be absent next week. The expectation is that everybody will be in tow. So hopefully that is the actual case this coming week. There has been a decent amount of absenteeism, for lack of a better thing to call it, but a couple of folks weren't there. Good old Lester hasn't been there yet, which is could be a little bit concerning to those of us who are interested.
Well, Andre is putting it in a place it belongs. This is just one more camp before it's mandatory next week. So the fact that Jalen wasn't there, Billings and a couple of other dudes that wasn't there, this is the one they have to come to. So I wouldn't worry about it until that.
Much less. It's funny. I keep looking for the inactives for the OTAs, and it always brings me to week 2 with all of our favorite people being absent. And when I say all our favorite people, I mean Velus Jones and Noah Sewell and Dom Robinson, which was kind of just the story of last season. Anyways, my bad.
Levante, I was looking at Herb Howard's Biggs Media. He had a video with him and I think Nick Moriano, and he said that Billings wasn't there. Now, I'm not knowing if that's true or not. But let's talk about. We wait till Trips get done scraping before we get to talking about Caleb, because that's going to be a hell of a conversation. Which I am.
Go ahead.
All right. Which I'm glad he finally hit. I think he had to take the bull by the horns eventually. I was proud that he did it. I'm not worried about that. It took him a while to do it. I'm just glad that he went out there and did it just to smash the shit out, get it out the way. I do think he's going to come up again whenever that book comes out. What is it, September, October, whenever that date that book is scheduled to be released. People will be talking about it again. But for now, it's good that he spoke to it to get it out the way. Just handle the reporters like you got to. Now he can say, after this, okay, I spoke to what I need to speak to. Don't ask me no more questions about it because I don't have any more answers to you. Now he can say that. People start wanting to question how well he did in the press conference. I ain't here to judge that. I'm just glad that he addressed it and his teammates don't have to carry the water anymore. That's all I cared about.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't, man, the media sometimes, like, it's technically in some capacity I'm part of the media, but sometimes they create a witch hunt because there's nothing else to do. You know what I mean? Like, for no good reason other than maybe we can stir up a frenzy, and if we can, we might sell a subscription to somebody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of ridiculous that, just me listening to the line of questioning today for Caleb, because Caleb came out a little bit differently than normal. He came out and he tried to just throw the whole conversation under a bus, which is exactly what I would have done too. Like, if it was me. Hey, yeah, like, I said some stuff. It all got taken out of context. And here are the things that I said that got taken out of context. I'm not really going to explain what the real context was because, like, who cares? And I'm going to throw this thing under the bus and let's run the bus over it and let's get into, moving forward. And as soon as he threw it under the bus, everybody was like, stop the bus. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't driving the bus. We're going to stop the bus. And we're going to ask 60,000 questions about just the generality of it. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought, you said you think it's going to come back up. You're damn straight. Like, they have it planned. They're planning to have this conversation again the minute that book is launched. Oh, hey, so now that we've read the whole chapter with respect to you, we've got 16 different questions that all revolve around the same darn thing. And it's whether, you liked Kevin O'Connell. Oh, well, I already addressed that. Kevin O'Connell's a good coach. He was coach of the year. He's got a good team. He's got good wide receivers, good defense. Yeah, I did like Kevin O'Connell. And you notice, like, at the end of this season when we played him, we had a good conversation. All these things are true and factual. But again, I guess he had to sort of step in front of it as the leader of this team, or the maybe not the leader, but the focal point of this team. Definitely had to be out there doing the darn thing.
So here's my take on it. And we're going to get into the particular things that was said there. Tripp and I had a nice little warm back and forth about, the watching tape thing and all that kind of stuff. We'll get to that part too. But the fact that he spoke to it, to me, it really, his thoughts about the Chicago Bears and how his dad felt about the Chicago Bears before they came in here, I thought was straight up 100% valid. I was with him on that. Like, I don't blame you for not, being in a rush to come here. To be honest with you, this is how I took it in real time. The minute I heard about it, I saw the headlines. Caleb Williams didn't want to come to Chicago. And immediately my head starts smoldering real good. And first of all, my first thoughts about that was like, F him if he didn't want to be a Chicago Bear. And I started reading what what those quotes were saying. And, after you calm down and get over that part, I'm a Bear for life. I'm in this. If you don't want to be here, I don't want you here. That's the kind of attitude I had initially. You're reading more of it, then you start to understand where the kid and his family was coming from. That is totally understandable. So I got over that part. And now you get further into the whole film conversation again, which we'll have shortly here. But I'll never be mad at him for being a young man that had thoughts and feelings about wanting to come here or not wanting to come here, given the history of the Chicago Bears. I'm like, shit, I don't blame you, soldier. I'd be the same way. But at the end of the day, he said that stuff. And sometimes, a couple of times when I'm listening to him talk about it, it's just like, don't make it seem like anybody else put that, those were your thoughts on it. And he did that for the most part. But there'll still be people who will question everything that was said today. Guaranteed.
I just don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, and I'm so with you too on this. When I heard it, I was like, look, I'm gonna back up. a year, right? I'm back up a year to before we drafted this kid, and I was saying, hey, if he doesn't want to be here, no reason to force him to be here. Go do something different, right? That's what I was saying. Now that I hear that he might not have wanted to be here, yeah, I kind of felt the same way that you felt when I initially heard it. And then I stopped and said, I don't give a damn because he's here, right? Like he's we've already crossed that bridge. He's here. He's going to be here. And we need to make sure that he's in the right mindset. He's learning. He's moving forward. He's getting better. And the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. That's what's important to me. This is all just distraction for distraction's sake. And like I say, man, it makes me effing mad. Like, who cares, media? This ain't X's and O's. This is bull. You know what I mean? This is BS.
Hold on, let me get Chef.
All right, Chef.
You were talking, we didn't hear you.
It almost seems to me that the media, many of the ones that are trying to grind the axe with these comments are many of the same ones who were calling him generational before the draft. So how quickly the tables turn.
Imagine
So
that.
like the Canucks of the Cat said, this is a non-story because if they actually looked at the validity of the comments, well, why wouldn't a quarterback want to come to Chicago? It's like, well, because the Chicago Bears have sucked in developing quarterbacks. That is written in history. That is not debatable. So it is a fair question for the parent of somebody who's looking out for his child to ask. And the explanation that Caleb gave was very logical. It sounded very truthful, and it was kind of okay. We got it. Why are we still talking about this? But the reporters kept asking, and they kept asking, and then they kept asking. And then when the Montes Sweat came on, they kept asking, and they kept asking. And Montes Sweat said, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So it's just a thing that they have to talk about now because there is nothing else to talk about, and the drama sells.
Why you waste your time talking to Montes Sweat about Caleb Williams?
Well, here's the way the Chicago media works, man. It's a tiger, and if you don't wrestle that tiger down to the ground and make it submit, it will keep coming and attacking you. That's the way Chicago media is. And if he had to wrestle that tiger to the ground right away, like I suggested he should. You know, we probably be 85, 90% done with this story by now.
No.
Hold on. Here it is. We are weeks outside of when this story broke, and we're still talking about it because he waited to say something. I thought he should have said something right away. Now, go ahead, kids, before I talk about the second part of this conversation.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's if the book hasn't been released yet, it kind of doesn't matter either way. Like I'm taking a look at the chat, and I think it's Andre Bryan who's saying that this book comes out right after we play the Vikings on week 1. I think there's a bigger fish to fry here altogether. Regardless, this will be the conversation week 1. Like you as we say in the islands, you done no say. Like you know that will be the entire. Hey, Kevin O'Connell, did you know that Caleb Williams really was hoping to be drafted by you? That this will be week 1 conversation, man. And don't make any mistake. Don't even make a mistake to think that the NFL didn't know a little bit about this thing going down and made sure that week 1 was against the Vikings. You know what I mean? This is all timed up perfect. It couldn't be timed up any better, right? Like, I'm just saying, this will be the week 1 conversation, regardless as to whether Caleb Williams came out and said anything about it or not. He could have come out today and said, you know what? I'm not talking on this.
Dog, let me tell you something, what I know. The media will do their job, and their job is to, if not, run down a story, create one. If there's no narrative there, they'll create narratives around wherever they want to create a narrative around. This is nothing short of, okay, nobody forced his dad or him to say all that shit. So I ain't blaming the media for none of this shit. Really. I ain't blaming them. I mean, they're going to talk about what they're going to talk about. I'm proud of the kid for just going out there and confronting it and getting it on out the way. I mean, we can sit there and point fingers about this, we can point fingers at that, but the fact he's only 20-something years old, he had thoughts, he spoke on it openly to somebody that writes. And what did he think? What did his dad think was going to happen? That was, and this is the inevitable, bro. No, ain't gonna be no getting mad at the media for me. They just gonna do their damn job. I'm sure it's a lot of the media. I heard Herb talking about it today. He's sick and tired of it. I don't want to be sitting here talking about it. But the truth is, this is what happened. Those are his thoughts at that given time. We ain't the thought police. The word police, the media and podcasters can be. And that's what we're doing. We're being word police about what he said, what his dad said. That's all it is. It's not casting judgment. I think it was a bad call, but that's my personal opinion about it.
So as a dad of a football player, I don't think it was a bad call at all. I think it's exactly what I would have done. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I'm just putting things out there. This team hasn't been traditionally the best by way of quarterback and or wide receiver. Just, admit certain things. Those things being admitted to, yeah, I might have articulated to somebody if they asked me that, yeah, we were probably looking at alternatives if push came to shove, right? Like I would have that same admission. At the end of the day, here's my real problem with this. This is bullshit. This is nothing but a distraction from the number one case scenario that is of mind, that should be top of mind right now. Top of mind today is beating the effing Minnesota Vikings on week 1. That should be top of mind.
I know you as a fairly practical man, right? Would you agree with that you're a practical guy?
Most definitely.
You were working for any media outlet in the area, and would you still be calling this bullshit, you think? Or would you be writing stories about it? Which
if
one?
I was I'm just put myself in somebody else's
shoes. You'd be writing stories about it, wouldn't you?
Not necessarily, no.
Or you wouldn't have a goddamn job.
No. You can there are more important aspects as to what's going on right now. This team, I'm going to do a little bit of research now on the fly. But when was the last time we won week 1?
Kids, the only reason I'm saying this is I can't stand our local media. I can't stand these bastards.
Well, but the thing is, Mr. Nomads, is that you say that if the kids of the Canucks was in the local media, he would have to write about it. And is that because you have to write about what everybody else is writing about? Or if you were a true reporter, you would interview somebody else on the team and find another story or another angle or another point of interest that is clickworthy.
Good luck with that. I know you'd be writing about it or you wouldn't be employed. I know that. It's not, I said this and I'm gonna repeat myself a little bit, but then add on to it. I don't really care for a lot of the people in the media. I ain't gonna say all of it because we associate with a whole lot of people in the media. But at the same time, I can't believe I'm sitting here defending the media right now for doing their jobs.
I can't believe you are either, but you keep going. You keep going.
We ain't no need for getting on people in the media for asking questions about it.
What's
the point of that?
Here's the point. The point is that they're creating division and distraction. Y'all caught me. I just did the research on this. Yeah, it was last year. Shout out to Matt Eberflus, yo. I don't even know what to say. Shout out to Matt Eberflus. I'm saying that with the most sarcasm possible. I just poured sarcasm all over that. Yeah, they won they won game 1 last year, and then the entire season went in the opposite direction. But were they really ready for week 1 last year? Because they came out here soft. They did, and they generally do. Is really what I'm trying to say. I want this team to come out here with an understanding of what the hell they're trying to accomplish and get better as the year goes, as opposed to we don't know what we're doing week 1 and we're getting worse.
Hey,
that's what we've been seeing. These are the conversations to be had, bro. This is what I'm trying to say. These are the conversations to be had. I don't care how Caleb Williams felt before the draft. I really don't.
This too shall pass. Everybody's all butthurt because It appears as though people are picking on Caleb and this story is dragging on, man. And this fan base has a tendency to be trying to defend things that we don't have to defend. Let him defend it. It's not my job to fucking defend it. It's not 670 the Score's job to defend it. It's not Kid the Canuck. It's not ESPN's job to defend Caleb. Caleb can defend Caleb just fine. It's not our job to fucking do that.
Milton, you caught her questions. I'm not gonna throw her under the bus, but you caught them. They were a little bit sideways. They really were. I don't know what was going on in that room. Each reporter kind of found 6 different ways to ask the same bloody questions, and Caleb kind of already addressed it all in his opening blurb before anybody asked any question. He was like, "Here's what's up. Here's what went down. Boom." And they really had to drill down and dig deep into it. Again, it's not football. It's bullshit. And I don't care.
You know what I don't like, kids?
What?
And it's I can't stand people that follow the crowd. I'm one of those people. Okay, he's our quarterback. Like if I'm in a chat room or somewhere like that, and there's people just saying nonsense for the sake of saying nonsense, I'm gonna defend our quarterback. That's how I am. It's like he's a Chicago Bear and he's our quarterback. I'm gonna defend him. But if you got a show that's being broadcast, and every show, like I'm not gonna mention nobody's name because somebody will get butthurt if I said it. If you feel like it's your job every day to go out there and defend Caleb Williams from the rest of the media, whether it be local, national, whether it be podcasters, like what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? This guy is I think people are making more. I would just say this: people are making more of a deal out of this story than they should. Yes. How this story became this story ain't nobody's fault in the media. Nobody's. Now, on its merits, like I'm going to think
Andre Bryant just brought up a really good point, and I'm gonna put it up here. I do want the media to be harder on Ryan Poles. How you let Matt hire Shane Waldron? It's quotes about Caleb not wanting him to coach him during the same time of liking the Vikings. Why this is important is because, like, this whole offseason and the retaining of Ryan Poles, softball, right? Like, from a media perspective, softball shit. Ain't nobody really wanted to say nothing to nobody about nothing. Hey, like, how did Matt Eberflus get extended? Why did you choose Shane Waldron? Like, the actual questions of note are still hanging in the air and will probably never be answered. Why? Softball media. All of a sudden, ravenous beast media over some regular parental concerns for their, for their son who's going to go play for the team who's never had a 4,000-yard passer in its history.
What would we be saying if this was a situation going on in Detroit? If it was a situation going on in Green Bay? If it was a situation going on anywhere? Come on, dog. It's real and it's live. Deal with it, fans.
Let me ask you if I'd even be paying attention.
Ain't no hating away. Ain't no getting mad at it. It's not going away. He just addressed it. It'll get quiet after about a week, but it will certainly come back up again at that once that book comes out. And just get ready for it. It's something he's gonna have to deal with. That's all.
I'm just saying. The only time the media is ravenous beasts is when it can derail the entire effing season for the Chicago Bears and or deflate the trajectory of their quarterback.
How can this derail the season? How? Tell me how this can derail the season. I'm be interested to know that.
Here's how. You're like, basically you mess with the confidence of the quarterback. It's really simple.
Oh no.
Kids don't know what he's talking about. There's never been a quarterback who lost his confidence before.
I love you, bro. I love you, bro. You're way off on this one.
Yeah, no, not Mitch Trubisky didn't lose his confidence.
None of this is going to make him lose his confidence.
No chance.
Not a single bit of it.
Come on now.
No.
Come on now.
Motherfucker, that boy ain't made up that kind of way. He just wants to get it out the way.
You don't know how he's made up.
The guy know he stepped in.
My boy was crying after a football game a year and 2 years ago.
This season. Caleb Williams All he has to do is, like, there was something else that was spoken to in that media session that I thought was very, very important, that everybody got carried away talking about the stuff we've been talking about for the past 15, 20 minutes. You gotta understand what he was saying. Somebody asked him a particular question about Ben Johnson's offense and how well you're getting along with Ben Johnson and what he's putting down. Are you picking it up? What he said to the media, I thought it was probably one of the most important things he said. And he was just like, man, the job that I'm trying to do is, Ben Johnson has been doing this for 6 years. He's been 6 years running that offense. I'm trying to catch up to where Ben Johnson is. When your goal and you're that focused on what you're trying to do, you know you got that much pickup to do and that much slack to grab. That dude is so busy trying to get a grasp on what he's doing in this offense, the change of foot movement, which we don't have to talk about right now because I got something set up for it, kids. He's immersed in what Ben Johnson has on his plate. He's trying to catch up and trying to get his eyes. He said some things, Case Keenum said some things that are particular to me because I think it's more important than anything else that was said today. It's like you're just trying to see the game through the coach's eyes. He's the one that's calling the plays. He's the one doing the schematics. Can you see this game in the way that he's seeing it and drawing it up? He said some things to that today I thought that were more important than the rest of this fluffy ass story that's going on around.
Bruh, that's what he should be out there talking about. And that's all I'm really trying to say. You know what I'm saying? That's like, talk football, man. Talk about how you're acclimating to the you're off mute there, chef. Talk about how you're acclimating to the actual offense. You have a brand new head coach / offensive coordinator scheming things up for you and trying to make things real from an offensive perspective. These are the conversations that need to be had. I don't care about the other stuff. To me, again, it's a distraction and nothing but. I understand, be cool. I get the accountability situation. I get it. Accountable today or accountable tomorrow. It actually makes no difference except for winning and losing on week 1. That's the difference, right? So at the end of the day, come week 1, this story happens all over again. Period. So, we can be happy to step in front of it today. It's coming back. The boomerang's coming back.
And there's shit we can do about it. But ain't no need in getting butthurt about it and getting all defensive.
Okay. All right. Now, are we good? Are we done with this conversation? Because I have the food all plated up.
Perfect.
Not totally, but we'll take this down so you can do your thing.
I think we're good on the conversation. The scrolls asked a real good question.
We still got some stuff to talk about.
We can come back to it. Scrolls asked a really good question about today's meal. He's asking, did you use a fork to poke holes in the patties as they cook for maximum flavor penetration? The scrolls cautions us all and reminds us it's all about penetration.
As the Scrolls' wife asked the Scrolls at 2 a.m. one morning, why do you have your penis in the dirt? And the Scrolls replied, I am trying to see the garden. So to answer the question, yes, with the holes, you want to be careful though, as not to make the patties of the Salisbury steaks break apart, but you add a few holes here and there to let the juices and the gravy soak to the inside. So now, hold any other questions or comments while I explain the plate. Now, if we go to the full screen, please. Now, I know some people will find this disgusting as the food is touching. I do not have that issue. So we have our Salisbury steak here, which while I cut, it is falling apart very beautifully. We can see the inside. Do you have a good visual of the inside?
Yes, we do, for sure. Looks great. Definitely cooked through.
Yes, I did a temperature check, and as long as it is above 160 degrees, it is done. So now I will take a taste of just the steak.
Good Lord, that looks so good, man.
Mm.
Lord, that looks so good.
It is so tender all the way to the inside.
Hey, chef, you made some beautiful dishes on this network, and I like a whole lot of them. But this is by far, this is one of my top 10 meals in life. Straight up. It's top 10. It's top 10. This is probably my favorite meal that you've made so far, just because it's that this dish is just near and dear to me, man. Straight up.
Well, I'm glad that you find it enjoyable, and I hope you do make it on your own as you see how easy it is.
Oh, I do.
And so now I had a bite of the loaded potatoes with the sour cream, with the shredded cheese, with the bacon bits, with the chives, with a little bit of the onion powder, a garlic powder, and black pepper, and a little salt. And then the garlic that was mushed up from the boiling originally was still all mushed up with the potatoes. As when I drained them, the garlic pieces were still in there. So that the garlic was boiled, all of that flavor is in there, and they became very mushy, and they're mixed in there as well. The gravy is very good. I added more seasonings as it cooked to taste, as you should do. Always taste your food while it's cooking to see if you need to add anything. And then the peas are peas, but they are the vegetable.
All right. Man, what a dish, bro. What a dish. And shout out, and I'm putting this in the comment section right now, Rick. Rick says, "Can we talk about some?" He wants to know, "Can we talk about some football?" And he's not dissing you, Trips. He's talking about us having that conversation about Caleb. Just one more little bit of conversation about the coaching thing, and did he get film room? I think he shot that down. Like I thought. I thought that was a little bit. That probably was misquoted. And I think he said as much today.
So the scrolls are saying he'd swap out. He's like, this is a righteous dish. He'd swap out the beans for string. Sorry, the peas for string beans, which I can feel. I will also say that the beans kind of go right on with them loaded mashed potatoes. You can just get a scoop of them two together, and it works out real nice.
Hey, Chef is real live eating. He needs a personal moment.
Chowing down, man. Don't get it twisted now.
As I do the taste test, the food is so good that is a delicious meal. But
Don out here busting chops.
Hey, Chef needs a room he just need a hotel room by himself right now. It is what he needs.
That's too
but to address what you said about the film, while the Caleb Williams may have addressed it, I also heard that the Case Keenums, the veteran quarterback, said that as a rookie quarterback, Caleb does not know what he does not know. Exactly. So when they were talking about the foot placement, Caleb Williams said that he always started with his right foot back, or whatever the case is. But Ben Johnson, okay. But to lead into that, I will bid you adieu. If there are any other questions or comments, please let me know now. And I hope that the ingredients are easy for you to find. They are inexpensive. They are easy to put together, and they come together as a dish very lovely. And as Nomad stated, this is one of his favorite dishes, and it can be also known as an American comfort food.
Yes, sir. That is definitely shout out to Chef Phipps, man. That was the best meal to me, hands down. I'm biased because I just love Salisbury steak. That's just one of my favorite dishes in the world, bro. In the world, bro. Chef Trip just made it right here in front of us on live TV, man. Thank you for that, man. I ate a salad tonight. Oh man, this is gonna make me hungry after this, man. Oh Lord, man, get him off the screen. I can't take it no more. Straight up, this is too much. This is too much.
Oh, them mushrooms look good. I don't even like mushrooms. Look, this is a fantastic meal. It looks super hearty. That salmon was crazy, and I've been eating salmon lately for two reasons. First one is like really cost effective at the store. Just gotta say. Secondarily, it's like a lightweight, meat to process. It also cooks relatively quickly. So I'm all about the stuff that he just sort of put down. Give the good chef a shout out. Give him a little bit of love over at Sports Chicago Style. Every time he comes through, it's always good eats for everybody, right? So give him a little bit of love, and thanks again for coming through and doing us nice. Those recipes will be found right there on Sports Chicago Style for you as well. So by all means, if you're looking for something to fire up on a Wednesday, Wednesday 5:00, check out your guy Chef Trips.
Hey,
I go ahead, Nomad.
no, go ahead, Jeff.
I thank all the Nomaniacs. I thank the Nomads, and I thank the Kids, and I thank the Triple R's, and everybody, and like the Kids have said, the Sports Chicago Style, where I have different video recipes that I try to make a bit healthier by substituting the ingredients for more of like the no dairy, so I use the coconut milk. Or for the non blanched flours, we use the whole wheat flour, and so on and so forth. So look for those videos there for very tasty recipes that you will enjoy with your taste buds and with your body. So with that said, I hope you enjoy the Salisbury steaks with the onion and mushroom gravy and the loaded mashed potatoes with the green peas. And I thank everybody for visiting the kitchen here at Shea Trips for another episode of a MFer in the kitchen. And I'll see you next time.
Shout out to Chef Trips for that one.
God love that guy, man. He's awesome.
Man,
That's
dude,
one MFer in the kitchen, though. I tell you.
that I'm telling you, that meal is like, my girlfriend wants a burger off the grill. I was supposed to do it yesterday, but stuff happened. Like, I just got through talking about, and none of that stuff happened. There was stuff going on. And I'm gonna try to talk her into some hamburger steaks and gravy. And she'll never turn that down. Ever. I don't know. She'll never turn that down. He's not ready yet.
Okay.
But yeah, man, let's talk about this. I hate to talk about it before Triple R gets into the screen, but we need to talk about the video thing. Let's just get this out the way and be real quick about it. He shot it down. All that media talk about, nobody sat and watched Caleb or did
the film room situation is
or he didn't know how to watch film. He pretty much shot that down. He shot it all down, man. And I was glad he did, because I thought that it was like, dog, it was just too unbelievable for me. You know what I mean? But I knew it was, they kind of, what he said was, it was kind of taken out of context of what he was trying to describe inside, what was going on. And he was basically more or less defending, his coaches and himself when he was talking.
Elaborate on that, please.
You talking about what he said?
Yeah. How was he defending his coaches and himself?
Number one, he gave him a shout out. Number one. Number two is, he said that it's not that he didn't know how to watch film, but he was just talking about learning how to watch particular types of film, or trying to find tells. Anything, all the stuff we've been talking about. When you have to watch film, you have to learn how to look for indicators. And so he's talking about watching detailed film. He kind of was fumbling all over himself when he was describing the shit, and it made me believe, even though he was a little bit still nondescript about what he said, kids, it led me to believe that yes, there were people watching film with him, but the extra stuff, all the extra stuff that he probably should have been doing on his own, he felt like there was nobody there to really break it down for him. Kind of is the way I took it. I don't know what you saw.
I saw a dude who had a coach who didn't have the nuts to sit with him and say, hey, like, you do this, you need to not do this. That's what I saw. And I also saw a dude who was like, you know what, I said too much, probably don't want to have this conversation anymore. You know, don't really want to have this conversation because it actually did get out of context, as in, you don't know how to watch film. You haven't watched any film before. How did you get this far without watching film? Like, these are the questions that Kurt Warner was asking the other day. And he was like, this is bullshit. And I had to stop and be like, wait a minute. Yeah, it is kind of bullshit. So it's none of those things, Kurt. You know, it's none of those things. He's clearly been watching film, has an understanding on how to do it, but specifically with relation, like in relation to the offense that he was running, he wanted to sit down with his coach and get some direction, and he wasn't getting the direction within the scheme that he was looking for. And I think that's where the problem lies.
So there's ways to interpret that, and we've done a job at doing that. So what I didn't hear from him is that the opportunity wasn't there, and what I also didn't hear from him is that he, like, stuff like that. There's specifics to it. Like, if you have a problem, like, hey, you know what? Last game, I went to the line and I called this protection, and when I saw the coverage, this is what I was thinking. This is why my eyes went here. They got into this, and tell me where I got this wrong. That's particular thing. Those are particular things that the quarterback has to identify on the field live, and go back and say, you know what, coach, what's this? I didn't get this one. He's got to do. There's some onus on him as well. It's not that the coaches, didn't want to help him. It's just like, dog, you gotta have some initiative about it too. I don't get that Caleb didn't have any initiative. That's not what I'm saying. To me, I think wires got crossed. There was miscommunication there, or something. Something happened between that group, talking about Caleb, the coordinator, the quarterback's coach, and all the assistants. Something happened there that ain't being spoken to right about now. But I still, to this day, will refuse to believe that they wasn't available for him if he had questions. I don't believe that. No. And I think he kind of shot that down today.
I don't think he did. I think he tried to again put that underneath the bus with the other stuff. But I things to note. Why was Shane Waldron fired then? Next thing to sort of question is, why was there a players meeting where the players sort of acknowledged some of that? Like, these are the two questions that I have with respect to this particular situation. It really didn't sound like Shane Waldron was like. There were times last year when me and you would watch these games and be like, hey, like, he's doing the same thing he did last week, which means that he didn't really learn from film study this week. You know what I mean?
But
he's
how,
repeating.
kids, here's my question. To jump to conclusions, like there's like, anytime there's a relationship, there's always dual fault. In my relationship with my lady, you know what I mean? If there's
I'm
an
not
issue,
saying Caleb Williams is perfect. I think you're missing that.
But it seems as though everybody wants to point all the point wants to go to, this
Shane Waldron. I know, and you want to put it all on Caleb, but we can be in the middle here somewhere. We can meet in the middle.
Hey, kids, Caleb and Ben Johnson said as much. Caleb has to grow, man.
Yes,
and he needs room to do it, and that's in all facets of his game. I'm a Caleb Williams fan, and I'm not trying to put Caleb Williams down. What I'm telling you, based on experience, is there is two sides to every coin. Everyone.
You're 1,000,000,000% right in that respect, except for like two portions of this. One guy gets fired and could have been fired. The other one will be here long term. So somebody's gonna take the onus here. Oh, there he is. Triple R, good to have you, brother.
Right on. What up, Nomad? What up, kids?
Hey, brother.
Welcome to the show, brother.
Right on. A shout out to Chef Trips doing his thing, holding it down.
All right. Well, let's get to since Trip just busted up in this piece. Let's just get to that part, and let's just get this over with. The story about Caleb has done his job and got in front of the media and getting this stuff out of the way. Let's do our part to move on. The part about the film watching, I think that story, I think I think there were still pieces missing when he got done talking about it. I felt like you know, he didn't want, I guess it came off bad looking on him because it didn't look like, sounded like he didn't know anything about watching film. He went out there and shot that down. But the part about him and the coaches not sitting down, I think he kind of shot that down too. I think there's still parts of that he needs to explain, but just to get past this and we can move on to some more positive stuff we need to talk about Caleb Williams. That part is out there. I'm done with it unless he addresses it again.
Yeah, I'll take it. The thing was, he being Caleb, isn't one to throw anybody under the bus as we've seen. So that's not his steez, not how he gets down. But what it does look like is that the influence of Case Keenum, who's a veteran, is something that the coaching staff should have been doing from jump, from the rip, how to watch film, what to look for, because him not knowing what he doesn't know, he doesn't know what mistakes he's making that he needs to identify and correct. He doesn't know what specifically he needs to be looking for because no one has ever taught him. And that is the influence, if that is the influence of having that veteran quarterback presence, who's done it all, seen it all, been every place. What are we even talking about saying that, well, he can, learn how to watch film on his own and figure it out? It's like, well, nah, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of having the veterans around or being coached up, which he wasn't. But now that the veteran is around, and they can, Case can be like, hey, this is the way you need to look at this. This is what you need to be doing here. This is that. This is stuff that Caleb didn't even know that he was doing wrong or needed to be looking at. So when I say that he needs to be taught how to watch film, it's not that he does not know how to watch film as a quarterback, but taught how to watch it as a professional, as he's never been a professional before. So the things and nuances of the league that Case Keenum is expounding on them, that a coaching staff should have been doing. But those are the things that I was saying before of he doesn't know what he doesn't know.
So the word taught is the wrong word. The word that you're really looking for is guidance, right? That's the missing word. And, it's not a question of placing blame here, Nomad. I'm not saying Shane Waldron's a bad guy or Caleb Williams is a superhero. I'm saying that they should have got together in order to allow Shane Waldron to guide him along to get the scheme that much better, to understand the mistakes he's making within the scheme and what the expectations of him are, again, within that schematic. That's what was missing here. Scheme exists, coach exists, player exists, but you got to put that all together in a room to try and figure out how to work it all together. And let me tell you right now, these guys were asking to be coached hard. I think they might have just walked into a situation where they've got three coaches, Ben Johnson, Antoine Randall, Eric Bieniemy, who aren't just going to sort of stand around on offense and let details get missed.
I think, kids, and this is the last part before we get into this next conversation about Caleb. And it's a good conversation. Yeah. Let me say this, man. I think getting coached hard and all the stuff about, Ben Johnson being boisterous and hollering and screaming, I think people misunderstand what coaching hard. I think people hear coaching, getting coached hard, what that looks like is a bunch of howling, screaming, yelling, and all that kind of stuff. You can get coached hard and challenged in so many different ways. Like I've had coaches that do just that, just like Ben Johnson, get right in my shit and yell. I didn't like it. I ain't like nothing about it. It didn't change anything about me. but I just didn't like it. I just remember not liking that shit and like in my head saying, man, if you don't get the fuck out of my face, I know something. And he kind of, man, my coach kind of got that energy and got away from me. Now, I've been with coaches that are very, very detailed in another way and challenge you in different ways and kind of call you out in ways that if you don't get it, that means you ain't got no passion for it. You know what I mean? Somebody calls you out and just like, dog, you shit out here. I mean, in the film room, or if you one-on-one with him doing the film, and he tells you, man, you shitty. Dog, I can't believe we gave you a scholarship. Look at this shit. Look at you out here. Instead of being in your face, hey, dudes, hey, no man, all that shit's that has its place, kids, but that's not the only way to be coached hard.
So that's not really what I'm referring to by way of being coached hard. Yeah, I yelled at a guy the other day. He didn't have to do it today. Likely won't have to do it next week either because he's established himself. What I mean by coached hard is that actual challenge that you were talking about, being challenged. Hey, look, you're doing this incorrectly. You're missing these details. We're going to go back to the huddle and rerun the entire thing so the details aren't missed. I need to see it that way. These are the expectations we have for you in your position. Back to the huddle. We're going to start this whole thing again. That's what I mean by coaching hard. It's got nothing to do with whether somebody yells or doesn't yell. It has everything to do with challenging your players, getting in their heads and saying, hey, look, this is what's expected of you. Can you accomplish this? If you cannot, next man up. Or have to go with somebody else who can accomplish the expectations set at this position. That's not what was going on here before.
We don't know that. We don't know that, and we just talked about this last. I mean,
yes, Sunday. We do.
Well, we don't.
No, yes, we do, bro.
What people tell
those
us.
Snaps would not have been what they were when they were what they were.
We don't know what's going on in practice.
Bro, snap is an easy detail to cover.
Hey, sit around, ladies. Sit around, ladies.
Talking about this Sunday trips. When we
know that's what I'm trying to calm y'all down.
No, we fine. We fine. I was just talking about, I've had those coaches that make you rep stuff over and over and over again and saying, get back on the line. And when you ain't getting it right, they make you run sprints and gas and stuff like that. You have those kind of coaches.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is we don't know exactly what was going on there. We don't. We just know what reporters tell us. That's it.
Well, we do know that players, we can do it. Take your time, do it right. We can do it, players. Do it today in practice and do it in the games. So as long as the coaching staff is correcting those mistakes, is being boisterous if they have to be boisterous, or being low key if they have to be low key, or challenging, somebody's manhood if they have to challenge somebody's manhood. As long as they're getting it done, they get it done. But then also it's just some personality types are more prone to be yellers. You look at Bieniemy, you look at Randall L, as Cads mentioned, and that they're just fired up individuals. And they're going to yell at you. But I've also seen Antoine Randall with Jameson Winston during the Detroit game on the sidelines, whispering in his ear with his hand on his back. So, they know how to push, how to pull to get the best out of these athletes. And, we got to trust them to do that.
Yes, indeed, man. I would say this too, Triple R. I was listening to Jason McKee on, shout out to Jason McKee. J-Mac is getting his third season into being a Bears beat reporter or a sideline reporter, my bad. And that's great for him, man. He's earning his chops in the media business. And he's going to be on the season for his third year. And, he mentioned talking about, he basically on that show, Bears, etc. with, I think, who is that? Jeff Joniak? I think it's Jeff Joniak. Him and Tom Thayer, I believe. I watch that religiously every week or listen to it because it's an audio podcast. And they had J-Mac on there, and he's coaching Mount Carmel. If you don't know about Mount Carmel, you probably need to do some homework, but the people in the vicinity know exactly what that is. And he was talking about that, and they asked him a particular question, and I'm not going to actually quote what he says, but his response to it was, You know, that's the thing about coaching. It's knowing when, what, what, where, when, and how. You know what I mean? Who's this guy you're talking to? Who are you trying to get a point across to? And how do I do that? Do I do that directly in his face and getting his bust his shit? Do I do that like that, or do I find my moment with this player? And so it's no universal way to do that. There's no universal way to do that. Anytime you're dealing with people, there's no through line there, man. You have to pick your moments, man. You just do. And I like that he notices that. But that's the same thing going on out there in Chicago. It's just, you got a guy that felt like he had a mandate to come in here and be harder on these guys because he feels like this is the way to get more out of them. Be universal about it. But in particular conversations that he's having that we probably will never be privy to, that he's having on the side with these guys or in his office, or he's catching them going to the car or wherever it is, he's having those conversations with them. And I'm hoping that he's impactful with those conversations, he and Dennis Allen, and they get what they need to get out of those guys. I don't want to cast, I just don't like it. The story can be told many ways about what happened and what didn't happen last year. I'd rather leave that alone and move on, man. But because I think one other important thing that came out of that conversation, you guys, is this. And this needs to be talked about because I think it's a bigger deal than we think it is. And that is this. Footwork, my guys. This is a graphic of Caleb Williams. Naturally, this is his natural throwing position or receiving the ball position with the right foot up. Everybody knows by now that in this offense that Ben Johnson wants to run, he preferred Caleb with his left foot up, and because he thinks that's gonna take away the amount of time, whether it's a second, fraction of a second, either way it goes, he feels like this is the best thing for him to do, and we're gonna start training you up this way to get the ball out of your hands quicker. This is right foot up. This looks totally natural to him. Let me show you something else. This is also right foot up in under center. If you look very, very closely, you can see it barely. You can see that he's kind of got the right foot forward. That's just his natural, this is how I've been playing football like this for a long time. And he spoke to this in the media today. And it's natural for him. The question I have for you guys is, and I'm about 50-50 with it, kids and Triple R, because I can understand that in order to get the ball out of his hands quicker, naturally the left foot forward is going to make more sense for a right-handed quarterback, right? But what's natural for Caleb Williams is you're going to have to reframe this muscle memory, and it's going to take quite some time for him to do it and get it right. That's the problem. Is this overcoaching or the right thing to do?
Well, I mean, it's something that is that's what he's known, but it's not like it's not changeable. I mean, we look at offensive linemen who can go from the left side to the right side, no problem. This is not something quarterback-wise that we're not unaccustomed with, because wasn't it Sexy Rexy that had to have his footwork changed because he had that bad footwork coming out of Florida down there? And so when he got here, it was like, oh, the wrong feet. And then it was Justin Fields, with the wrong feet. And now it's Caleb Williams with the wrong feet. But eventually coaching and reps builds that muscle memory to where it's like, all right, this is the way we do it now, and this is where I live now, because of the timing and the importance of being prepared to release the ball, when the receiver is making his break or, before, whatever the case may be, you want him to be in that position to succeed. And so this is a bad habit or a mechanical operation that needs to be improved. And to improve it, you switch feet. And so that's all he needs to be practicing now. Yeah, that's the way he used to do it. Oh, well, okay, whatever. But this is the way you live from now on. And if that puts him in the right, position to be able to hit those passes on time in stride, I'm all for it.
Hey, notice something else, Triple R, before we get the kids. How many people in this you see one little stripe on the socks, don't you? See how low they got the stripes on here? See how low they got the stripes on here? They don't want them stripes on them goddamn socks.
Wait, what are we looking at?
The socks. You see how they trying to push the stripes down? The stripes are supposed to be all the way up their leg. But they're getting them shits down on purpose. I'm trying to tell y'all they don't like it.
Oh, you going fashionista on us again?
I ain't fucking around.
You go hosiery
like the socks, man.
Want to
Like
friggin'
I keep trying to tell y'all.
next week talking about pantyhose. Yeah, man.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Hosiery prima donna.
Man, I don't play all those stripes, man. That's a great looking uniform without all them striped socks, man. That looks good. Hate it, but yeah, man. But back to you, kids. You want to respond to what me and Triple R said? Go ahead. My bad.
I don't really have too much on this. I will just sort of say that having the right foot up kind of shuts down the strong side, right? It can cause infractions with the running back, and it also opens up.
When you say the strong side, you mean the right side?
I mean the right side of the field. It also opens up, when you switch it, it opens up passing to DJ Moore. So I think it'll all bode. I think it'll all bode very well for him. I also think that just these little details and the attention that's being paid to them by Ben Johnson first, and then sort of trickling down to Caleb, I think it's worth its weight in gold. Initially maybe I might think, oh, maybe this is overcoaching, but real talk, I would rather him be meticulous than be laissez-faire, which is French for not. I don't give a fuck.
You know what? I think this is like if you ever watch Caleb Williams in the short game, in the quick game, one thing you wouldn't say about Caleb Williams is he was slow getting the ball to wherever it was going, whether it was on the strong side or the weak side. He's getting that ball out pretty quick to the receivers, right? But what's important in an offense like this, and I've said this since I've known you kids in Triple R, the footwork in the West Coast offense is of the optimal importance. And if you don't get it right, everything in the timing that Ben Johnson, the way Ben Johnson sees the timing, when he's talking about 1, 2, 3 throw, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 throw, or whatever it is that he's talking about, your footwork in your drops, what time he has in his head allotted to get that ball to wherever it's targeted to go. If it's not synced up with what Ben Johnson sees in his head, he's going to be like, all right, this is the problem. I need you to put your left foot forward, and I need you to work on this. And it's going to be a bitch, but I need you to take this seriously for us to get to where we need to in this offense. I need your feet to be sound with how we have this play called design. I think that's all it comes down to. But I believe this, kids. I believe this is going to be more of the problem. This is probably going to be more of the problem for, I think, shotgun. I think it's going to be pretty natural because he's back there and he's away from the line of scrimmage and he's seeing while he's developing that muscle memory with the left foot forward versus under center where you're not really seeing because everything is busting out right in front of you. And that's a little bit different. He doesn't have a lot of experience doing under center work. And so I believe this part of it will be a little bit more of a hurdle than shotgun. This is just me and my football mind talking. I think this is probably going to be a little more of a conundrum.
I think it'll make it so that he's a little bit quicker with his release again to the left side of the field to where likely Colston Loveland may wind up lining up to where Luther Burden is going to be lining up and also to where DJ Moore is going to be lining up. So I'm with you there, but I think it'll really allow him to utilize those three assets that much faster, especially potentially under center, just like you're saying. So we'll see, man. We'll see how it all shakes out. I am interested in these little details, these little nuances to quarterbacking that Ben Johnson is putting into place for this kid.
It is. I just don't want people to think it's just a small thing because it's not, man. Like The difference in Caleb getting the timing down and getting the rhythm with his feet and getting enough reps in this off season or however he's, even on his own to get muscle memory built in that way after years and years and years and years of right foot forward and nobody ever challenging you. It's not that he hasn't run into a coach that said, you know what, I prefer you to get your left foot forward. It's just like, all right, he's fine. We're just gonna work with him. But this is the first coach he's ever run into to tell him, hey man, I need your left foot forward. That with all those years of muscle memory, that's not going to be as easy as people want to believe it's going to be.
No, it's something. It's a learned, skill. But he's a talented fella, and that's all he got to do is practice that and drill it and drill it and drill it and drill it to become second nature. And excuse me, but the answer and the attitude that he addressed it with about having to change up the footwork, from under center, he was positive about it and was like, okay, yeah, if this is what I need to do, this is what I'll do, as opposed to saying, well, nah, this is how I do things. This is what got me here. So I'm going to continue to do that. So, I mean, it's a mechanical fix in his game that needs to be addressed. He understands that. He understands why, and he's addressing it and willing to do it. I mean, at this point, there's nothing more you can really ask for.
Hey, you know what, Trip and kids? One of the things I will say, and this is to piggyback with what Kids was talking about all that being repetitive and forcing them to redo things. This is where I think Ben Johnson and that repetitive nature that he has to him, that I'm very familiar with, this is where it pays dividends. In this development right here that we're talking about, his repetitive nature, forcing this guy to go back, like right about now, I heard Herb say it, I heard Nick Mariano say it, and I heard Ben Johnson say it at the presser, that there was times that you heard them out there on the field, like if they came out of the huddle, if that's not quick enough, I'm talking about receiving the call in the right amount of time, going to the huddle and getting to the line of scrimmage. If that's not timed up, if they're not getting out there and being pithy about that, start all over and do it again. Same call, get to the line. Do it again. I don't like it. Do it again. That repetitive nature that Ben Johnson has about him will pay dividends in this department that we're talking about. That's the good news. That's the good news. The fact that he's being an a-hole about it is going to pay dividends. I know that for a fact because I went through that with my coaches.
Mm-hmm. Look at Crimson's comment there.
You get tired of it, you get really, really good at it, right?
Look at Crimson. Not that one, but having the discipline about that one. Having that discipline and repetition will stop the penalties too.
Bingo.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just gonna say, Cole Kmet fell victim to a bunch of penalties last year. So did Mercedes Lewis, victim to a bunch of penalties last year. The offensive line, a lot of penalties on the offensive line here and there, especially at third down and first down when stuff is really, prevalent, really counts. You're trying to clean all these things up. This is the attention to detail that I'm talking about. That was missing. You can say that we don't know if there was attention to detail. Well, I don't think people were rerunning the entire process to make sure it's meticulous. This needs to be drilled in these guys' heads so they know the process and there's no excuses and they can execute it quickly.
Hey, kids, it can be as minute as this. Like, I literally walked through this in my life. It could be as literal, this minute. Caleb gets the call out at the right time, gets the cadence out on the line of scrimmage, and he gets into blue 18, hot. If he shrugs his shoulder a little too much, his shoulders come up a little too much or go down a little too much, he raises his head a little bit too much. That's all part of, that's how you get a false start. That's all a part of, it didn't sound the same as it always is. You need to be consistent. Go to the line, and you don't want your offensive lineman jumpy, right? And so all that, I've lived through that shit, man. And I just thinking about it right now, I just want to kick somebody square in their ass because it's aggravating. But holy shit, did it pay dividends, bro? Holy shit, did it pay dividends?
Yeah, that's why you got to make sure all your I's are crossed and all your T's are dotted. You know what I'm saying? You don't want the bullshit going on during the season. So you play the way you practice. If you practice with perfection, theoretically that's how you're supposed to be playing as well. But we know that if you practice, half stepping, that's exactly how you will show up on game days.
Couldn't have said it better there, Trip. Trust me, man. That's what it is. That's what's been missing. They need to be a little bit more I'll use the word meticulous, but maybe obsessed is a better word. You need to be a little bit more obsessed with the offense. And yeah, man, Ben Johnson has been shutting plays down, and they are doing them over again. And I think that is a beautiful thing. Big shout outs. Yeah, man. What's up?
Could you imagine if you was a quarterback and me and Triple R, I was a center, Triple R was a guard, or vice versa, and you came to the line and this display you've been running all training camp, and you come to the line and your cadence sounds a little bit different than it normally does, and you get a little offbeat with your cadence. Could you imagine? Who would you be mad at if me or Triple R jumped off sides? Or would you be mad at yourself?
Depends who I am. If I'm Caleb Williams in this situation, let's just be realistic. He's a young, potentially egotistical first-round draft pick, and I don't blame him for being a little bit egotistical. The real question is, who holds him to account? That's really the question. He might not hold himself accountable. He might blame it on the offensive line. I'm sort of taking your hypotheticals and making them a little bit bigger. He might well blame them on the offensive line. The upside is that we didn't see any evidence of that last year in public, right? He didn't do it in public, but perhaps in practice or behind the scenes, maybe that was the case. Somebody still has to hold him accountable and go, hey, no, man, like it might have been your cadence. We'll have to work on that. And then let's get meticulous about cadence.
Can you imagine that your voice and your vocals, you're standing over me, I'm underneath you. Can you imagine that your vocals could make the difference in whether or not I put this ball in your hand at the right time or whether or not Triple R gets off the ball at the right time? Can you imagine you vocally being that much of an impact on what I do?
Yes, because my vocal connotation may also be this, like I say may also, it should be the way that we draw another team offside. Like this is how we're going to fake another team, by way of my cadence, by way of my vocals. I might say hut 6 times, but it's the way I say hut.
Yep.
And how many times have we seen a backup quarterback come into the game, and then the timing with the cadence and the snap of the ball is off because they're not used to the backup quarterback's cadence.
Yep.
Those little details make a huge difference and are magnified on game days.
Big time.
Man, dude, yeah. I mean, Trip just said it all in a nutshell. Just like little things like that make the difference in surge of momentum, lack of surge of momentum because you constantly popping yourself in the foot, or you got the momentum and then next thing you know, somebody gets dinged up and the next guy comes in and his vocals sound different than the last. All that kind of stuff matters in a 60-minute football game. Every last bit of it. 110%. So, them being repetitive, I think out of all the things I heard Ben Johnson say today, that was the most important. And the reporters were emphatic about this dude is not playing. He's maniacal about making sure everything is proper and right and not, passing up on none of those little details because those will cost you in a game. 110%.
Yeah.
110%, man. But one other thing that I heard, and he was talking about, working on body language with Caleb Williams. And I love to hear that too. I don't know how many times me and you kids talked about it live, and And I was just like, man, dog, I wish he wouldn't do this. Or after something didn't go right, he'd be like, oh, man, with the palms up, he was talking about palms up was a particular thing that Ben Johnson said. And he said that, you know what, we gotta stop that kind of body language. He wasn't singling out Caleb. He was just talking about Caleb in reference. He's talking about DJ, he was talking about everybody. He's like, that palms up, you doing that, that's like a defeatist mindset. Like you're just like basically showing your signs of weakness. And so, me and kids watch these games live, and sometimes his body language, sometimes DJ's body language, those two particular guys were ones that stood out. And I'm glad that he's addressing that, because I think it means more than people realize at this time.
He said, palms up, kids, not elbows up.
Who put that down there? Who's saying that?
Oh no, I think that was me.
That's you saying it. All right. I'm just checking. I'm not sure what you do with either one. Look.
Shout out to Levante. He said, before I forget y'all, pray your boy as I have an early flight out of Chicago to Atlanta. My final destination in Myrtle Beach. I hope I get there and have fun and come back the same. Dog, have a ball. Have a ball.
Actually, there's a couple of shout outs. That's a big one to Levante, man. Enjoy your time. Safe travels, man. Touchdown and get back to us. I've got shout out to Crooked Commish, who was with us a little bit earlier on. I'm not sure if you're still out there listening. Shout out to you, Crooked. Good to have you back on the show. Another shout out to T Lions Run the NFC North. You're really chopping it up in the chat, because you feel that the Lions are going to be exactly the same without their defensive and offensive coordinator. I'll just put that out there the way that I put it out there, and you're going to be, I believe you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you realize that Jared Goff, you might need to move on from Jared Goff.
Levante, I wanted to offer you some homeboys out there. I know, not like homeboys like dangerous motherfuckers, but people that live in that region. I know are good ass dudes that can really, really show you around that vicinity. But the one main guy that I'm thinking about right now, he's kind of out of commission because some I don't know exactly what's going on, because I ain't talked to him in about like 2 months, but I know he's out of commission right now. I would love to line you up with him. So because I'm telling you, this cat right here, you would have a blast with. He knows all about that community, man. He's from around. So I wish I could deal with him.
Levante said he going to trick off. He ain't thinking about no dudes. He going down.
Hey, if you're gonna go trick off, this motherfucker you want with you. That's what I'm saying.
Y'all gonna get Levante in trouble, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Levante getting out the front, talking about, hey, where the party at?
That's what I'm talking about. If that's what you own, that's the motherfucker you want with you. That's all I'm saying.
Safe travels, Levante. Be safe.
Like, where the party at?
So we got going on next year, man.
All right, man. The palms up thing, I think we're done with that. Let's get to this. And this was important. I ain't gonna talk about baby kids right now.
Yeah, I get those Herbers from that baby kid.
Montes Sweat. So Montes Sweat, you could tell that guy do not like the media. He's just like, man, this is the last thing I want to do with my time. But they put me on the schedule, come out here and talk to you, motherfuckers. And I gotta come out here and do it.
Well, but they'll be asking some dumbass questions though, too.
Yeah, man, I'm like the same, man. I'm like, dog, I ain't got time for this, man. You know what I mean? Y'all gonna be asking all these dumb trying to get your ass questions, man. I ain't trying to hear all that. But one thing Montes Sweat mentioned that I thought it was important to talk about was the defensive scheme. And, he was saying that like Dennis Allen is like, this stuff is crazy that he's doing. What I think is going on here is schematically, I think Montes Sweat has been through two defenses that run core cover 2 and cover 3 concepts. He was with Ron Rivera, which they ran a lot of cover 2 and cover all those cloud concepts, and alignment along the line of scrimmage is pretty simple. I would just say from a defensive back and I guess a linebacker's perspective, looking at the defensive line, they will adjust and move along the front, but that doesn't happen as often as it will happen with a guy that likes to blitz more, right? A guy that likes to blitz more, how that affects Montes Sweat versus a zone defense when you pretty much your alignment is pretty much set up, how you put your hands in the dirt is pretty much set up, versus being in a man coverage concept and a blitz package that's blitz heavy. Now you might have to move and go along the line of scrimmage way more than you can't find a whole lot of Montez Sweat plays that he was lined up over a guard or a center, where he was moving along. He was pretty much on the edge all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So in this concept, in a man concept, he's going to have to move around, because if it's a man concept and it's more blitz heavy, he might have to move out of his technique to move inside a little bit more so somebody can get outside of him from a linebacker spot or from a slot corner spot or a safety that might be shooting the gap behind him. He's got to remember his coverages, and if it comes out hot, they say, hey, you got to slide. You got to slide your alignment. So now he's got to go in and play a whole different technique, and he's trying to remember all those calls. So if the linebacker comes and taps him on the butt and says, hey, man, you got to go here, you got to go there, he's got to remember why. That might sound like a whole lot, but it's really, really simple. Is when you're in a man concept and blitz concepts, those defensive linemen, how they are aligned makes all the difference in the world, so that the people behind them can shoot gaps, right? So it's just going to be a little bit more than what he's used to.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead, kid.
I thought we were really going to go like this is actually a cool, more football-y conversation. I thought we were really going to go down the fact that he was hurt and injured, and they kind of touched on that. I think we might get a little bit more out of Montes Sweat this season, not just because of, the fact that he played through most of last season hurt, but because of the actual schematics that you just sort of put down. There will be times where, again, Kyler Gordon will be screaming down behind him, and he needs to kick in. There will be times when it's going to be Kevin Byard is doing the exact same thing, or potentially Tremaine Edmonds, which might be a little bit of a different situation. So again, we might actually get a little bit more out of Tremaine too. I'm really interested to see how this all spins out down the road.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Montez, because imagine being up there and it's like, hey, kids, your ex-girlfriend, you still think about her? You know what I mean? That's basically what they're asking him. Is like, you still thinking about Washington? He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? That was a look on his face. But he was, all diplomatic and shit. And he was like, nah, I'm looking toward the future, not the past. And then it was a fair question about his injury. It's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I was hurt. Yeah, but, whatever. We keep it moving. He didn't make any excuses. He didn't go into any details. But he answered the question. And as far as the question about the scheme and Dennis Allen, he obviously had the look like, yeah, I'm learning this shit, because, with the shifts, with the adjustments, it can change, depending on where the offense is lined up, what gap I'm going from what alignment, who's blitzing, like Nomad was saying, from which side and where. Am I dropping back into, a little short coverage, in this play? But overall, the main point that he made was he still gets paid to get after the quarterback. So from wherever he lines up from, whatever gap he's going in, whether he's looping or stunning or whatever, his job is to, beat that center, guard, and or tackle and get into that quarterback. And that was his main focus, which I appreciate.
Yeah, me too.
You know what, man? I think things like that, everything Triple R just said, it's like you not only do you want to learn it, you have to learn it. And in order for you to be able to perform at the level you need to perform at and be the guy that Montes Sweat is, you got to learn it fast. Now, you got to spend a lot of time. There's no surprise to me that Montes Sweat has been at every single voluntary OTAs, because he's learning something for the first time. He's never really had to move as much along the line of scrimmage as he will now. He's never had to understand as many checks, because I believe defensively, I think Dennis Allen is the type of guy, based on what I've seen on film, that the communication has to have alignment so that everybody else has to be lined up. What do I mean by that? If the linebackers are making all the calls and all the checks, or the safety is making all the calls and all the checks, or the nickel is making all the calls and all the checks, the defensive alignment, the alignment up front, is listening to all of that stuff that's going on behind them, right? And so now he's got to be in the right position so that they can be effective. And so, yeah, it's more movement, it's more alignment movement, adjustments. And to get that down to a science is how Montes Sweat is going to be able to play fast and play a whole lot better. Period. I mean, it's I would just say anytime you're learning something for the first time, it's going to be really, really complicated. It's going to take a lot more than you think until you start repping it and start getting, hey, you know what, Montez, don't even worry about it. If I ain't gonna say nothing to you, I'm just come over there and tap, and you know exactly what to do. Don't worry about listening to me, because
Mhm.
at times, Trip, at times you can't even hear some of that.
Yeah, and it's also, not to make an excuse beforehand, but it's to be expected that being these are new, play callers and schemes on both sides of the ball, players will be out of position. Guys will be thinking more than they are just reacting and playing. Being that everybody is learning it and coming in new at the same time, as opposed to next season and beyond, when now they have a background in this defense. And as new players come in, they can be guided by, their mates on the field because they have experience in it now. Whereas now everybody's like, wait, I'm here, right? And you're there. He's like, yeah, I'm here. And so they're figuring it all out. But once the live action starts and teams are running fast, there are going to be mistakes. There's going to be missed assignments. But as long as we can see progress and learning and people actually holding up and doing their jobs, whether it be in the run, getting to the quarterback, we'll be all good no matter how they do it, because he's a defensive end. But if he happens to be at tackle or play, whatever. Whatever the case may be, as long as they're getting the job done, that's all we care about.
Trips is like when you hear people say football is the ultimate team game, it's not a cliche whatsoever, especially in football, because on both sides of the ball, your intention is to attack that defense. Your intention is to attack that offense, right? How do you do that? Normally, the way this works is it's either very, very methodical or very, very fast, right? What we know about these two guys that just brought into the Bears organization, Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen, they want to play fast. They want to play effective. This is how you get to that level. It takes hard repetition. Hard repetition. It's going to be a bunch of uncertainty until it's certain to you. That's what one of the coaches told me. It's going to be a whole bunch of uncertainty until it's certain to you. And so in those moments that one of my coaches used to tell me all the time, he said, hey, dog, just play fast and just be speedy and fast about it. And if you make mistakes, make mistakes really fast. And so I think there's going to be a lot of players on this field while they're learning these new systems, these new schematics, this new language, and Montes Sweat included. It's about just sometimes you're going to get up to that line of scrimmage, you're going to hear the linebackers talking behind you or not. They're going to be, hey, or one of the linemen are going to be like, hey, man, ship. And if you don't do it fast enough, it's going to be a screwed up play unless you just get off the ball and just be in attack mode. And that might, if you're lucky, make up for anything that you didn't understand during that play. It's going to be a lot of that going on. I'm telling you guys, there's going to be a lot of that going on early. And by the time we get to, hopefully by the time we get to the first bye week, you can clean up a whole lot of that, because they will know by that point, Montez Sweat, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, all the guys, Javon Dexter, they'll start meeting up, privately together, doing stuff together off the field. Hey, dog, I saw what happened when we was playing Minnesota when you shifted right when I was coming, all that kind of stuff. I needed to get in that gap you just shifted to, but it was too late for me to tell you this is what you do from now on. This is how we communicate, and it takes a whole lot of that. And so, what I'm saying to you guys is, it's going to be times when this team really, really struggles because everything is so new.
Kids, who was playing to the left of Tommy Harris? Was that Tank Johnson?
Yeah, Tank.
Because I remember a comment that Tommy was like, you know, I could look at Tank and he knew from my look that I was going this way and that he would have to go that way. But this came after them playing together, for a little bit. That familiarity and those unspoken glances so that they know, the same way where a quarterback can look at a receiver in a particular way and make a certain gesture and they know exactly what they're talking about.
Like
But
Burrow
that's gonna,
and Jamar Chase,
yeah,
like just have
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Well, they've been playing together for a long time now.
probably about 10 years now,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing that will take time to develop. That on both sides of the ball, we ain't even close to yet.
We got a ways to get there.
Go ahead, kids.
I'm just saying we got a ways to get there. I can't wait till that's something. I just don't know who it's going to be with, or is it going to be with multiple guys? It'll be interesting when that chemistry is built, baked in, and on display.
I will say this. Something tells me that the way Dennis Allen wants to call a defense and the way I know he's prone to use his defensive front, I think Montes Sweat is going to have the most productive year of his career. I'm going to say that openly. I think Montes Sweat is going to be a monster. It may not be like he'll be a monster just because, like what I was just talking about, sometimes he's not going to know and he's just going to, go to default mode and I'm going to just get off this ball and be really, really fast and strong about it and I'll make a play. Hopefully. It's going to be a lot of that going on before he actually understands exactly what the concepts are, the hots and the adjustments. All of that stuff will start getting more and more regular as the season goes on. But in the midst, that all Dennis Allen said this, you guys, and that is, I'm not really focused on technique. I'm worried about guys getting off the ball and being aggressive to the guys in front of them. That's going to benefit a big, strong ass Montes Sweat like an MF. Trust me when I tell you that. Number one, the conversation that they all have privately or on the sidelines, and Montez, you right there, man, dude, just you got to work with some of these guys, man. Go out with some of these dudes. Go out with TJ. Go out with, Kyler. Listen to these are the guys that are making all the noise behind you. You just got to be in tune with their voices and what they're trying to say. When he gets that down, I think Montes Sweat, his year is going to get better and better as it goes.
How many sacks would you predict?
I'd say he have 10 sacks or better.
Oh, wow. I would have said the exact same thing, with the slight exception that I think we're also going to get a lot of penetration and potential sacks from the back, like from the linebacking core, as well as a couple of corners. I think having him be a little bit more dynamic with what he does opens up the game for speedy ass Kyler Gordon. I think Kyler Gordon is going to be a shocker this season.
Mm-hmm. Well, look at how Gordon has been used in the past.
Yeah.
And how he gets to the quarterback. He gets home when he's on the blitz.
Yes, he does.
Can, be out there in coverage. And he's excellent in run support. So his star is still on the rise. And now being utilized as a weapon, the weapon that he is, Dennis Allen has a nice piece that he can move around the board willy-nilly, and the more athletes that they have, Just a real quick thing. The speed, and now Sweat is got that the behind him. The secondary that's covering better, the linebackers that hopefully are covering better. To give him the opportunity to get home, and if especially if he has one on ones. If Montez Sweat has a one on one and he doesn't get home, that's a loss for Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
I think this dude is going to be a problem this year. Look at this. I think he's right now, and he's trajecting uphill towards the very, very prime of his career in the next 2-3 years. In my opinion, I think that's where he's headed. I think in these next few years, Monte, just look at this human. This dude is to me, he's a freak.
He is a freak.
He's an absolute freak, and he's as powerful as I've ever seen a defensive lineman be. I mean, edge rusher. I mean, he is absolutely like this guy.
He's also a lot faster than anybody I think would give him credit for, and I think that misconception has everything to do with this past season. This man is fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've seen him go sideline to sideline and catch that quarterback who's rolling out, who thought he had to, got the green, and it's like Sweat just takes away that angle. But he had a shin injury. You can't do nothing explosive or any running with a goddamn shin injury. And we saw that that lack of production on the field. But I don't want to be a freak, but I can't help myself. And that's what Sweat's saying on Sundays, on game days, when he looks in the mirror. At least he better be before game days, because it's like, whatever he got to do to turn that madman that he's on the field on, because off the field he's very calm, very mild-mannered, even quiet, reserved, if you will. But on the field, release the beast and get at. Yes, let's go. I'm looking forward to it this season.
I cannot wait to see this guy go, y'all. Y'all just don't I think, remember the excitement that we had around the fan base when we grabbed Montes Sweat. It was just like, oh, we got Montes Sweat. And then he got here, he came off, and what was it, a half a season? He took off. Came into the next season and just goes, fair weather fan, kind of kicked in. He had a disappointing season. And we didn't know throughout the season. I put a short out today talking about that. Kids were speaking about it. As a matter of fact, me, you, and kids trips. And what we were talking about was we didn't know that Montez was dealing with stuff. And everybody was like, where's Montez Sweat? Flus is keeping him off the field on third down. What the hell is going on? And sometimes you just don't know. And somebody's having a down year, and then the fan base gets a hold of it. It's like, hey, we wasted money on Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat, we overpaid and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of stuff just kind of takes off because it's negative. And for whatever reason in our society, people gravitate towards the negative more than they do the positive. And it just, that part about the way we live in this world disgusts me, but I'll say that for another conversation.
Well, but that brings up the question of, I remember a conversation back when Urlacher was playing. And it was like, well, do you want a 75% Urlacher or a 100% backup because he was hurting or something? But the point being, we saw what Montez Sweat looked like when he was unable to run. He wasn't productive. And so why was he still on the field? Even when he wasn't on the field on third downs or important downs, just put him on IR, but that has its own consequences, maybe contractually or I don't know. But on the field, we saw that he was not effective the way that his level of play is. So I don't understand, knowing that he couldn't play. IR him and let somebody else play. Because at that point in the season, wasn't going no damn place anywhere.
It's like this, Trips. You got to think about it this way. When you're a coach, and think about Flus. I think he knew he was, and I think he knew it was barrels pointed at him. Are you better with Montez on the field or off the field? 75, 65? Are you better with him on the field than off the field? course you're going to be better with 98 on the field, even at a lower percentage. And so now you got to struggle with, okay, is this good for him? No, it's not good for him, but I got to put him out there because he's my best chance right now. Right?
It's football, man. Sometimes you got to do things you don't necessarily want to do to win football games. Sometimes that something is actually suiting up and playing. Either way, I'm not really sure that he was misutilized last season. I think Flus used him quite well. It's just got more to do with, Flus's overall vanilla milk toast scheme, version of the of the 4-3. Yes, its principle aside, it's still just a regular ass 4-3 with with Tampa 2, man. And if you're running Tampa 2, you're waiting for things to happen as opposed to attacking it. So I can't wait to see this guy on the attack, healthy and ready to rock and roll.
Speaking about Montes Sweat and Montes Sweat type guys, this is in the media too. This is Tano Passano. He's an 8-year veteran, and I believe is a free agent right now. He's listed as on the Saints roster. He was there with Dennis Allen for the last 3 years, and he's coming into the end of his contract. And I believe he's a free agent right now. But don't get me. I might have that wrong because I might have read it wrong because I hurried up and did this when I heard about it. So podcasters and I don't know, maybe I think a reporter reported this out, an actual beat reporter reported that, the Bears may be interested in this guy. He's 6'7", 290 pounds, and an 8-year veteran. Look at this guy. Look at him and look at him hard. He is what I would say, he's basically Dio. He's basically Dio Odimbo, a guy that can line up inside, outside, and give you both of those techniques. Fearsome against the run. Not a great pass rusher. Not a great pass rusher whatsoever. And I think that's what most people want to focus on. And I believe that's the wrong way to look at it when you're talking about a Dennis Allen defense. Dennis Allen, the only great pass rusher that I can remember him having is 94. 94 and more recently, number, what is 99?
What was that? Cam Jordan or
Cam Jordan and more recently, what's
Armstead?
his name? Teron Armstead.
Not Armstead.
Honey Badger. Is he over there?
No, he just had Chase Young, and Chase Young was a monster.
That's right. Yes.
But those how much does this kid want on the free agent market?
This dude, you can get him for $5 million or less.
6'7"?
$5 million.
You got some arm length there.
He's an absolute monster, and I'm telling you guys, people, they'll go straight to his Tano. I'm gonna just call him Tano. They'll go straight to his stats. He's only his season, his biggest sack season was 4 sacks. But does that tell all the story, you guys? Y'all have been watching the Nomad Network long enough to know that sacks don't always tell the whole story. It doesn't. You just got to watch film. And what Dennis Allen predicates his defense off of is stopping the run first and earning the right to pass rush.
Yeah.
The interior pass rush is going to dictate whether or not these guys are successful.
So if that's the case, and let's just say theoretically, I know that it doesn't always go to form, but let's say, your first, second down or your run downs. So you bring in Tano there with Billings, Jarrett, and Sweat. And then you bring in your NASCAR package of Dio, Booker, Pickens, and and who am I forgetting up front there? Turner, Shamar.
Dexter.
That's right.
Yeah, so I said Javon Dexter. So I didn't say Pickens though. But that's not a bad rotation. But who is Tano? Who is he, taking the place of or taking the opportunity away from?
It would be somebody like, And by the way, Andre, I think he tore his Achilles at the beginning or at the end of the year before. I think this year, I think he was getting back.
He injured it.
No. I think he was getting back up to strength. I think he was getting back up to strength this year, and that's why I think people, you can look at this guy and tell like most people will be all over him, but I think that because he tore his Achilles at the beginning of last year, people are just kind of waiting to see how it's going to turn out for him.
How
And
old
so
is he?
he's he's an 8-year veteran. He's probably like 30.
Oh, damn.
Mhm.
Here we go.
The ages, the ages have just entered the chat. Oh, jeez. But at 6'7", 290, those are really interesting measurables. I would compare. It is comparable to a Cam Jordan, but still one heck of a lot bigger, right? So I'm interested. It would be worth a shot.
Trust me, man. When I tell you, you watch him on film, and this is a guy you don't have to play. He's not going to be part of your regular 3-down rotation.
Yeah.
You can put him on in spots, and he's in that rotation. And when your Montes Sweats and your Dio Dingbos get off the field, who do you have to replace him? How well is your lineup? How good is your lineup? This guy can probably start for most teams in that run a 4-3 fingers in the dirt kind of lineup. He can start for most teams. He's drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. They saw him for 4 years and decided not to re-sign him. This is a championship level team that felt like they needed more of the pass rusher type of edge rusher. And they let him go. And Dennis Allen was just like, thank you very much. We'll take him. And he produced like an MFer down in New Orleans for the last 3 years. And
But now let me ask you this about Dennis Allen. Is it, Allen has a history with Trey Hendrickson. Allen has his history with Chase Young. All of the players that have been successful under Dennis Allen. It seems as though the lowest common denominator is Dennis Allen. So I would prefer to let him, work with, what we got, than bringing in any free agent, right now who is not a clear and present upgrade to what we have. A guy 30 years old coming off of an Achilles injury or rehabbing that, whatever. Okay, maybe you get a season out of him, maybe two. Whereas, Booker or Robinson or Chroma or whoever, Dom Rob, shit, get off the pot. At defensive end, I would rather them actually step up and give the production that this guy would have, if not more.
Okay, so Trips is our resident rice counter. He's going to count all the rice coming in or out of house. He's counting it all. He's going to count it.
No, this wasn't. I didn't even bring up my. I asked how much you would make.
I'm going to put you in a position. So you're going to tell me that you would prefer Dominique Robinson or pay this guy $3-4 million.
Well, I would prefer Dominique Robinson or Chroma or any other of the aforementioned guys to step up and be what, this guy has, but more because they have a higher ceiling. This Tano is on the backside of his career, whereas all of these guys that we mentioned that are on this team now fighting for the positions are, fighting to get to their upsides. They haven't even developed yet. So not even looking at it cap wise, but looking at it cap wise, seeing how much good defensive ends make. If we can develop those guys, we don't have to, constantly drop $5-8 million on free agent defensive ends or try to get one, and have to pay him $30 million. We develop our own guys.
Hey, Trip, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
So somehow, do you think that when people turn 30 years old, that the wind blows by and they just magically crush the dust?
Well, no. But the thing is, it's about growth and development going forward. how many how many years does this guy have left? 1, 2, maybe 3.
Come on.
What is that going to do for us as a team in this defense?
This is this
As
offseason.
opposed to developing a 22-year-old or a
Hey, Trip,
23-year-old.
I just want you to know this is the pitcher taken this offseason. I mean, during this season. Did that look like a guy that's gonna crush the dust? Because
Well, no, hey,
he's
I
30.
mean, sure, he might be good. He's not a set guy, so he'll hold up against the run. Okay, that's cool and all. But you're saying that we don't have a guy here we can develop that can do what this guy can do?
Nah, I think he's a 2-3 levels step up from Dominic Robinson, I believe. And I like Dominic Robinson. I want to see him develop just like you all do. But man, look here.
Well, this is his last shot, though, ain't it?
Yep.
Don Rob.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At some point during this camp, if Don Rob does not show what they think Don Rob should be showing, Tano might be an option. Just putting it out there. That mug don't look like he gonna crush the dust to me.
I forgot that he doesn't have a team. There's a good backup for you.
It don't look like he gonna crush the dust to me. I'm telling you right now, I can do a whole show challenging you about this whole thing about getting 30 years old and all of a sudden they're useless. That's crazy to me.
Well, not useless for a team that may be competing for, a Super Bowl now, but a team that, is building and growing, with a new coordinators on both sides of the ball. Let's develop the youth, because the youth is where it's going to be at.
Hey, Trips, I bet you was at your best of your effed up by the time you got 30. I bet you was at your best of effed up by the time you got 30. You was at your best, wasn't you? Tell the truth.
Well, best at doing what? Best
What?
at what are we talking about? Best at what?
The special effed up trip that Trip is, you was at your best triple R at 30. I guarantee you that.
Well, and some things, because that was when the knees was kind of like nah, but in other aspects of maturity and development. Hello, ladies. Yes, I was developing nicely. But you look at Chris Williams, Shamar Turner, inside guys, Billings, inside guy. Daniel Hardy is a kind of a do-it-all guy. Would you rather have Tona or Daniel Hardy?
And I don't think that's the right comp right there. I think they're two different guys for two different roles.
They're not really.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Well, I mean, defensive end, you can only keep so many. So I mean, other than Daniel Hardy, you get Sweat, Barrett, Dexter, Big Dex, Dale, Booker, Zach Pickens, Jeremy Robinson, Jeremy Croma, Don Rob, Jonathan Ford, Shamar Turner, Chris Williams, Andrew Billings, Daniel Hardy, Xavier Carlton. So I mean, which one of these guys do you think does not have the potential to be better than what Tona is now?
Dominic Robinson is the guy that I think about all the time. All the time. And I don't think this is really any fault to Dominic Robinson. Dominic Robinson was put at defensive end because some coach out there convinced him that defensive end is where you need to be to look at your body type. Look at how you're made. You're 6'4", 6'5", and you're huge. Dude, you can be a great edge rusher, and you just need to go over there and get reps. And he's been repping it, and he's been repping it, and he's been repping it for a few years here. And I hope and pray to God Dominic Robinson comes into this camp and shuts me the F up. But if he doesn't, that's a roster spot.
Apparently, he's already bodied Darnell Wright. Give him a bit of a bull rush here today or over the course of the last week. Maybe he's improving.
Well, I mean, it ain't wearing no pads, so bull rush. I take that with a grain of salt, but yeah, it's nice to see or hear.
Hey, I talk about this all the time, you guys, and I'm 50-50 with it because I'm at that point with Dominic Robinson. I was the one for the last couple of years, like whenever somebody says anything about Dominic Robinson, I'm like, man, chill out, man. He just got to the position, let him develop, give him some time.
Why?
Because that's what it takes to get good. You got to put in reps. You got to work at the shit, man. It ain't just I'm a big guy and I'm a strong guy, I'm a fast guy, and I can, man, dog, it's more than that. He's got to take, you got to take the reps. He just hasn't had the reps, kid.
All right.
You just not.
I wish I could argue with that particular sentiment. He is, he's somebody who transitioned into this particular position. It worked out for a year in college. He winds up in the NFL, with the expectation that he's going to excel at that position. That's the expectation. So far, that hasn't been the case. But again, not a lot of reps in the NFL to really prove that theory, right? So I don't know. He's had a decent run with this team. I just don't think he has. I don't think he has the tool bag for this particular job, and it's a bit unfortunate considering we spent draft capital on him.
All right. Here's the last thing I want to talk about as far as the Bears go, and that is this guy. And let me, Triple R said something to me. He didn't know who this was. This is Daniel Hardy. A couple years ago with the Los Angeles Rams. Daniel Hardy. Now, again, I was watching Bears Etc. with Tom Thayer and Jeff Joniak. They had Jason McKee on there. Jason McKee has been at the camp. He's had his eyes on those players. Not only that, it was Daniel Hardy. I think he heard Dominic Robinson. I think I heard a couple of other key guys that we have on the team, that were at, I think TJ might have been one of the guys. I don't remember, but one thing that I keep hearing in this offseason is that Daniel Hardy is a different looking animal. Jason McKee was emphatic about how good this cat looked. He said this guy will look great before this offseason, but now all of a sudden this offseason, they came to Mount Carmel, which is where he coaches high school at. In the offseason, they found a gym to go work out in. And he said he came up there, he saw him, he talked to him, and doing all the stuff with the workout. And he was just like, holy crap. This dude, he was talking about that, and then he got into the conversation about hearing about that they're going to give him reps at linebacker. I just had to bring this back up because, guys like this, again, they intrigue the hell out of me. And I think this guy can bring something to the table that we don't see yet. I'm just put that out there. But Jason McKee was emphatic about it. He's not the first person I heard being emphatic about how good Daniel Hardy's been looking.
He's been making waves at the linebacker position, and that's sort of been out there. There's clearly sort of a position battle for the Sam position. Now that Jack Sanborn's gone, I don't know who has the pole position here, whether it's Daniel Hardy, Noah Sewell, perhaps Ruben Hippolyte. Those are three important names with respect to that Sam position to keep an eye on. And there's also my personal favorite name, Eamon Ogbagbaminga. Say that 3 times fast. I can.
Amen. About Amen. About nigga. Amen. About nigga. Amen. About nigga. Amen. About nigga.
See, he did it. It might have actually been 4 times. But at the end of the day, there's a battle going on, and this guy is going to shine because of his special teams value. And it's over and above what he's actually doing on the field. That's just additional, and that's probably a reason more so why they wanted to put him at that linebacker position potentially, because he's all over the field making plays. He can be all over the field making plays, at the Sam position too. That might be an interesting look for him. So I'm interested. I just don't know who's going to really shine enough to win this particular position battle. It'll be interesting as it goes.
Real quick, I don't know if Jason McKee inherited a great gym or a great, the weights and all that kind of stuff that's in that workout facility. I don't know if he inherited that or within the last 3 years that, and he I don't know. Maybe they made improvements to it, but it was attractive. Obviously, I don't know if Jason McKee's working, on the sidelines and trying to make sure that those guys can come there in the off season, go work with a former Bear and kind of get up to speed. And we got a nice ass facility here. But shout out to J Mac for being in the facility to kind of facilitate this stuff. That's great, man. They
Yeah.
keep workouts local, man. That's great.
Where is it at Mount Carmel?
Mount Carmel, I
Yeah,
believe.
that might be. That's where somebody put in the chat earlier, but that's where Donovan McNabb went to school.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he had something to do with donating to that weight room. I don't know, the caravan and such.
I
But
thought
huh?
I thought Olin was also coaching there along with him. I'm not a billion% sure.
Yeah, I think he is. I think they're together,
I
right?
think so too.
I think Olin goes through. I don't know if is he an official coach there.
I think they coach just like Chips was saying. I think they coach together.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that, but that would be a pleasant surprise to find out that Olin was he's there with him full time. But I definitely know they, as tight as they are, they definitely work together.
Yeah, I don't hold me to it, but I think that they coach there together. But as far as Hardy goes, looking at this picture, looking at 44, and it's like Polynesian looking dude. It's like, is that Noah Sewell? Because dudes wear helmets. I don't know what they'd be looking like with the helmets off. But being that it is Hardy, and there's something that we can say that about Hardy that we cannot say about Dom Rob, is that we've watched Hardy develop on the field. From special teams being a menace on there, to getting reps on defense. Whereas Dom Rob, it's like you don't see him at all on special teams. And then as far as reps on the field, you got nothing. And so as far as development goes, just from what we've seen, it looks like Hardy's ahead of Dom Rob, at this point. But we shall see, after pads come on in camp and such. But yeah, Hardy is like that guy from well, not that guy, but remember college football, NCAA 14, I believe it was, where it's like you had to recruit the players. That was part of when you do the franchise, or not franchise, but your team. And there were some guys that were just labeled as athlete, and you had to figure out where they were best at as athlete. And so Hardy is like, all right, well, we know he can be a gunner on special teams. Okay, cool. We know he can, get up to try and, block kicks on field goals. All right, cool. We know he can, block on, punts, and get down on punt coverage. All right, cool. We know he can get after the quarterback when he gets on the field on defensive reps. All right, cool. So he's checking all of these boxes. So now they're putting more on his plate with the linebacker and seeing what he can do there. If he has so much versatility that he is, such a Swiss Army knife, that it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like, well, he does too much to not make the team. So we figure out exactly where we put him later, but we know he can do this. We know he can do that. We know he can do this. We know he can do that. Whereas Dom Rob is like, well, we still waiting on him to do this.
Trip. Let me tell you this, and Kez will have his take on this whenever he gets it. When he gets his take, the opportunities that Daniel Hardy got were very few. There wasn't a whole lot of them, but there were times when he got some run. And when he got that run, let me tell you something. One thing I can tell you about Daniel Hardy for sure, that intensity is intense. When he gets on the field, you know his ass is on the field. You know he's there. You know he's there. And in this type of defense that Dennis Allen wants to run, it's about intensity. And like there's a lot of football players out there that play football because they're made to do it and they're built to do it genetically. That this is what their path has given them. I got to be a football player because this is how I'm built. You know what I mean? But then there are players like Daniel Hardy that is he is pure intensity, man. Like that is no. I mean, Daniel Hardy at Montana State and Daniel Hardy as an NFL player, they're the same freaking player. He's just getting better and better and better over time. He's just building and building and building. And I think I'm just saying when Daniel Hardy makes this roster and gets a role or two, I think he's going to maximize it.
It was just a question of if we're talking about those two particular players, Dom Robb, Daniel Hardy, who's going to go out there and like not maximize? Who's going to take advantage of their opportunity? Who's going to crush their opportunity when they get on the field? And I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, versus 2 times out of 10 on as far as Dom Robb is concerned, Daniel Hardy's out there doing it. Every time he's on the field, he's doing something to stand out. And those special team snaps alone, worth their weight in gold to show the team what you're worth. I really wish Dom Robb got maybe had some special teams value. That would really help his ability to stay on this roster. I just don't. This roster is going to be a little bit interesting when it comes down to it. But they're trying to find a home for this young man, and I think that's a great look. I don't know. I'm just not sure it's at the linebacker position. That's just my headspace, but we'll see.
Like I told you guys before, I will go back to the tape, and I haven't had time to do it yet. But I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I think the intensity that this guy plays with, it's like he's magnetized in that way. He's one of them people that you put him out there, and people are gonna get drawn to that magnetism, man, and people are gonna stick to him. Just put him out there and let him be him.
Well, then also look at where he is when he is on the field. When there's a ball carrier and the tackles to be made, if he's not making the tackle, he's the next guy right there, to make the tackle.
He's in the play 99% of the time, and it's great to see. Like I say, I just don't know about the linebacker thing, and it's got more to do with who's already on the team by way of linebacker. Like, I don't know what you do with a Noah Sewell if the defensive end, a.k.a. Daniel Hardy, takes his job. I don't know what you do with Ruben Hippolyte if Daniel Hardy takes his job. I don't know what you do with Eamon Ogbongbemiga under the same pretenses. So it's got less to do with his capability. Like, let's be honest about this one. I have no reservations when it comes to Daniel Hardy and his ability on the field. He makes his impression felt every time he sees a snap. It's got everything to do with the actual construction of this football team and who's really going to go where. It's my 2 cents.
All right.
Well, then also, as we wrap up this subject on Hardy, I would still think that I would bet that he's making the roster, but as a defensive lineman or defensive end, and not as a linebacker, per se. But I think he is getting linebacker reps to see if he can do it in this Dennis Allen defense, but not. I don't see him switching positions to linebacker, to whereas, a guy, that we're going to get to talk about in 1920 Drive, that Ryan Poles didn't even think that they would have highlights for. They liked him that much in Hippolyte. And the linebackers that we already spoke of, that's a very talented, crowded room right there. So, I would prefer Hardy to make the team at defensive end as opposed to bringing in the other dude that we were talking about.
It's also just creative with respect to the 90-man roster. 53-man roster when they come down to it. So we'll see what their real plans are. Maybe they intend to keep the existing roster of defensive ends and don't want to let go of Daniel Hardy. We'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is this, man. I think we all, and I might be more guilty than anybody in this Bears fan base, especially that has a podcast, of hanging on to guys that are on the lower rung of the roster.
Oh, you definitely are, but continue.
Nah, well, I'm going to explain myself, man, because sometimes, like some of those guys, like those undrafted guys, those guys that get drafted late, that people want to just hurry up and brush over and just like okay, he's only a 7th-round pick or he's undrafted. He's nothing. I'm here to tell you that there are not enough people that get drafted in the draft. And guys like him, this is what you get. You get a guy that just was, picked up and got a UDFA contract, hung around on a practice squad because coaches and administrators have to play politics, bro. They have to play politics. Okay, we drafted this guy, we got to make this work. Versus this guy that we know he's a beast, but we didn't draft him. So those politics exist. So a guy might get passed around a time or two before he actually sticks to a roster and earns himself a role. True indeed, man. That's real shit.
Yeah, I can't argue with that at all. My little 2 cents on it, and where I tease you, and I will continue to do so, is that in a case like Dom Rob, it's not for lack of opportunity, right? He definitely has had the opportunity to get on the field a fair amount, but when he's on the field, and you can see this, the three of us can see this right now or discuss it right now. When Dan Hardy's on the field, you see the impact. You see what he does. There's an impression being felt there. He leaves an impression. He makes an impression. I can't say the other guy does.
Hey, kids, I'm going to tell you something, man. And this ain't no shot to you. This is just an open statement. Development ain't linear, bro.
No, that's a very good comment. Same token, every year's a different challenge, right? They may have, Dom Rob may have developed differently over the course of this past season than he did the previous season or even the season before that. He's got more reps under his belt. Who's to say that he doesn't get to camp and isn't just lighting the camp on fire? I can't. I don't know. Right? Like that's just general speculation there. Again, I'm only speaking to what I see on what I've been able to see on tape. There's a missing bag of tricks there is really the first thing that I'm going to say. And I'm not saying that, people should make fun of him for this. Like I'm not sure how else to say that, but there's guys who have that bag of tricks. They may be just as undrafted. He unfortunately has swapped between, I think, 4 different positions before he, eventually became that edge rusher.
Right.
So if the expectation was for him to come in the door with that bag of tricks, I'm sorry to everybody, you can't really have that expectation at this point. Though, he needs to have it to compete.
Well, let me say this to you, kids, before you, real quick, Trips.
Well, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, he was a quarterback. Then he was a wide receiver. Now the tight end to defensive end.
There you go.
And I saw a picture of him recently, and he looks like he swole up, to suit the position more, and so maybe his development is a little bit more removed over a season or two because of the physical aspects, but as far as the on game beast mode, you see that in Hardy. You just don't see that in Dom Rob.
Yeah, that's
where I was going, Trip. That's exactly where I was going, and I like to use myself personally as an example to make it fit. I'm talking about Daniel Hardy. Like, I know exactly how his mindset is, man, because my friends tell me that when we were tiny little kids, he was just like, man, you were bigger than everybody else. I'm like, when was I ever bigger than everybody else? Sometimes you don't see you, but my friends told me that I was just bigger than everybody else. They were talking about my muscle structure, I believe. I think that's what he was talking about. But as I started getting older, everybody started getting bigger than me. I'm 5'10", 5'11" on a good day. You know what I mean? And I'm about 185, at my most muscular, maybe 190. And at that size and weight, that's very average for a cornerback. And so I had to deal with that coming up and getting ready to go out there and go earn scholarships and all that. And I know what that fight is like, trying to fight for that attention. He's one of those guys he's too big or too small. Too big for a linebacker, too small for an edge rusher. You know what I mean? He's constantly, I think he wanted to be an edge rusher, and he wants to be an edge rusher, but everybody's telling him he's too small for that. And you're constantly fighting to try to prove that point and prove people wrong. That fight that Tripp just got through kind of describing is what's in him. That's what's in him. That's what I relate to. It's that desire and that fight that's just like, God damn it, I'm gonna show you.
Fire and desire.
I'm gonna say something crazy here. Like, wow.
You can't buy this stuff. You can't go to Walmart and get this. You either got it or you don't.
And that's not something you can be coached up on either.
No.
So wouldn't he make for a decent middle linebacker?
I think he can play any linebacker.
I'm talking about Dom Rob. No.
No.
Well, mentally, let's
Dom
look
Rob
at that.
can't play no linebacker. No, he ain't made for that.
I mean, he's an athlete without a position. I mean, we'll see how he develops at defensive end, but he ain't playing quarterback. He ain't playing tight end. He ain't playing wide receiver. And, he ain't playing linebacker or DB. So all of his eggs are in that defensive end basket.
Well,
and he's had to get bigger. He's had to learn different moves to put different tools in his bag. And bull rush, all right, cool. But you can't be in year 3, year 4 talking about, well, he learned how to bull rush.
Like he's been replaced on this roster.
Why are we still talking about Dom?
Yeah, because we're talking about Dan Hardy.
Daniel Hardy's on the screen.
Right.
I know, but it's because we're talking about Dan Hardy. Like who? Like why would they move Dan Hardy to linebacker? And it's for the obvious reason. They want to keep him on the team. They want to find a spot for him. They're not doing that for Dominique Robinson, right? Like it's sort of the obvious repercussion. Folks have to stay, and folks are gonna. Somebody's gonna stay. Somebody's gonna go. Dom Robinson's unfortunately the odd man out.
He's not this kind of pliable. I mean, pliable by bendable and flexible, and you can move him around like Dominique Robinson. At this point, either you put him back at tight end, put him back at quarterback, or leave him at edge rusher. But linebacker, he ain't going back there.
I was just thinking again that perhaps just the measurables that he's bringing to the table as an athlete might be decent at middle, but you're right. Like his awareness, his understanding of how to direct traffic is probably just definitely not there, right? So,
plus I don't think he has a foot speed.
He's fast, bro.
Not that kind of fast. You got like fast in a straight line is one thing, but fast and having bursts in a short area is another thing. People get so wrapped up into a 40 time, which is I know what you're looking for, kid.
I know what I'm looking for.
No, that's not the point. It's about how fast you burst, what's your foot speed and quickness, your burst from 5 to 7 to 10 yards. How good is your burst?
But that burst is also increased by instincts, and he ain't got not one damn linebacker instinct whatsoever. So I mean that's gonna slow him down.
We just wouldn't see it again. Like the kid needs to play some special team snaps. Like we get a better idea. Man, anyways, I'm sorry guys if I'm talking about Dom Rob too much. I at the same time I would love to find a place for him on this team. I would hope that they could find a place for him on the team, but it's not looking great, man. This guy here, though, This guy here shows it every time he's on the field. They will find some place for him for sure.
I would love for us to find a good trade for that guy.
For Dom Robinson?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, come on.
If we can get an asset,
If we can get something for him, I mean, what can it hurt? He was what was he? Was Don Rob UDFA, right?
no, he was a 5th round
Drafted.
pick, I believe. Something.
He was
Like that.
drafted 5th round.
All right, 5th round. All right, if we can get something for him, cool. Flip him.
You crazy.
As opposed to just releasing them for nothing and then wish them luck.
That's what's gonna happen. Like,
That's probably Kez is probably right, but it'd be nice if that guy raised his stock somehow this year, and they gave him an opportunity to do it. But I don't think he gets through this, man. I really don't.
Yeah, there's nothing. I hate to say these things, man. Like I as far as draft picks are concerned, I'd love for each and every one to raise their own stock and be able to contribute to the Bears. Yeah, I like. He's had his ability to he's had the opportunity to go out there and do stuff. It hasn't quite materialized. I don't see them being able to recoup on this particular player. I'm just saying that out loud. There's other players who are in similar boats too.
Probably won't, kid. That's casualty of war.
Unfortunately.
Casualty of
war. Casualty of war.
Casualty of coaching change.
European Rakim?
Yes, sir.
See, I'm pretty good.
Listen,
Yes,
I know I got enough on my list tonight to talk for the next 2 hours, but we ain't set up that way tonight because I can read energy. I wanted to say this to you guys, and you know what? I'm gonna save that until we get ready to close the show because this was some real sketchy shit that happened today, and life might have been lost or gained through actions today, but we'll talk about that. And I'm gonna leave that there until I close. Pass the rock to my guy, the Canuck. Bounce pass this time. What you gonna do? Pass it back to me so I can shoot a jumper, or you gonna dunk it?
Pass it back, man. What do you got?
Dunk it, man. Dunk it and keep going.
I pass the mic. Nah, I pass it back, Black.
Let me shut it down. You ready to shut it down?
Pleasantries, bro.
It's that time. What we got here? Oh, damn.
I can't believe it. I was able to do 3 hours. Y'all wait till y'all hear the end of this, man.
All right. We pushed it in pretty far. Look, Wednesday night, one more again. Thank y'all for coming through and representing with us. It's extra sauce. We do it the way that we do it. We got to see the good chef today cooking it up for us. Appreciate it for coming through. Give him a little bit of love, like, share, subscribe over at Sports Chicago Style. We had some fantastic dishes on display today. Outside of that, we have to chop it up on some good old Bears stuff, whether that was on the defensive side or with our good old quarterback or with our good old head coach, Ben Johnson, getting his first foray and just screaming at people and making sure they do the right thing and being meticulous with it, or Caleb Williams being accountable for his own words. That's what you caught a little bit of tonight. You'll see a little bit different things on Sunday. And once again, we'll be back here on Wednesday. Now, let me give you guys a little bit of love for showing up. Start with my guy, the Cricket Commish, who jumped in. Shout out to you. We will give a shout out to Dobbsy34, who's in the chat, blowing it up right now. And a big shout to our friend, FFG Style, who's out there holding it down. It's Crimson just jumped out. He was the first guy in the building, last guy out. Rocket Dreams is out there. Shout out to you, sir. Oh, look, it's Baby Keds.
I get those Zerbers. I get those baby Keds Zerbers.
Baby Keds. He's cute. He's got nice rosy cheeks, too, man. Look at that guy. Levante Rogers, thanks for hanging out with us. Same to you, Andre Bryant. You guys were awesome in the chat, keeping things moving real smoothly. Big shout outs to my guy, the Scrolls. The Minister Charles Johnson was out there with us, doing it large. T Lines run the NFC North. I'm gonna give you 50% love, just 25% love, because there's 4 teams in the NFC North. That's what you get. 0 love for Don Burr, who's up in here talking about the Detroit Tigers as if this is a baseball show. Anyhow, shout out to Mr. Mayhem for coming through. King Booker World was with us as well, doing the darn thing. Mark Wallace was out there holding it down. Be Cool came through. Ron Winarski was in here cracking jokes. Cliff Victoria was chopping it up with respect to food as per normal. Always good to have you hanging out with us, Cliff. Rick Lane jumped in. He really wanted some darn football chat because we were all over the map with the Caleb stuff, but we straightened it all out. Ron C was in the place to be. Jay Sanders jumped in. I didn't notice you, Jay. By all means, good to see you again. Be cool, man. Like, share, subscribe. Milton Chisholm was with us tonight. I know Milton's definitely a subscriber, but both of y'all should go check out Keza Canuck and Sports Chicago Style. I give a little bit of a thumbs up, a like, a share, and maybe even a comment on either one of those channels too. Once again, we are multi-streaming every week here on both the Nomad Network and at Keza Canuck right here on YouTube. Our guy Paul Rodriguez is with us here hanging out. Florida Bears fan jumped in. I did mention my guy Mark Wallace, but there was Rock City, New York, man. Shout out to you, Rock City. Thanks for coming through. By all means, like, share, subscribe, please. We would appreciate your support. I haven't seen you in the chat before, but thought I would bring it up and give you a little bit of a personal shout out. Thanks for coming through and experiencing what we do right here, live and direct. AC Adam was with us tonight. Always good to have AC. Shout out to Bear Truth 9, who's out there as well. Good to have Bear Truth 9 with us too. Am I missing anybody? I think I hit the vast majority of humanity that was here tonight. There's probably Black Rain, man. I miss you, Black Rain. I did get Ron Winarski. Aunt Moss was out there with us tonight too. Think that's Smitty Q, man. Smitty Q did jump in and give us a little bit of a shout out too. Thanks, Smitty, man. We appreciate that. But that's about it. Big ups to the Immortal Nodge. Big ups to my guy directly underneath me. His name is Triple R. Check out Sports Chicago Style.
Yeah, big up to Keza Canuck, and make sure you show his channel some love as he stated before. And Detroit Tigers. Hey, yeah. Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, that's definitely what's up on the screen. Hey, ladies, that fat ass over there.
Whoa.
So Sports Chicago Style. Show us some love. Shout out to Chef Trips. Did his thing earlier, and that's some of the content that you all can find there at the channel. Also, a shout out to Chef Tripping and Trip as well for their contributions to the lifestyle, holistic, fun content that we do over there at Sports Chicago.
I've been checking out them workout videos, man. They're popping up pretty good with the coach.
Yeah. Well, the workout videos, that's just Trip doing his thing, getting his sweat on.
Yeah.
His exercise. The coach stuff is still being edited and produced.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We tried to outsource it to India, but they started tripping. So we had to bring it back in-house. So it's still a work in progress.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, USA, made in the USA.
Hey, you keep doing your thing, goddamn it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna keep it domestic and keep it real. Keep it in-house. But those exercise vids, I believe he's on like number 32 or so. Start at one and build up your stamina along with a Trip. And Trip with stamina, watch out, ladies. So yeah, that's what's going down at Sports Chicago Style.
That's why Bertha's smiling here on the right hand side.
Amen.
She's in like some bitch, ain't she?
Yeah, damn Bertha.
I'm talking about yes, daddy.
Amen. I'm usually a little bit more fun going when it comes to this show, but for whatever reason tonight, I ain't gonna say for whatever reason. I know why things went the way they went for me tonight, man. I was on guard tonight for a situation that was going on around my place, and not only that, last 48 hours been pretty rough for me because yesterday I found out one of my close cousins. I told you about that earlier, and it is what it is.
And that was yesterday that it happened?
Yes, it was yesterday, bro.
Oh, man, I'm sorry, bro.
Yesterday.
Sucks.
And I found out about it kind of in a third hand kind of way. I can tell y'all the whole story, but it's not important. I found out about it. He found unresponsive, and they put him on a machine. I believe he was gone when they got him, but they put him on the machine for the family. I think that's what they did, and I think that happens a lot of times around here. That somebody, they might find somebody already DOA, and they'll put them on a machine. And I hate to say it, but sometimes they'll just accumulate money, because that's what happens when you put them on the machine. People will accumulate money, especially if you got a really really passionate family like mine, and they'll put them on the machine just so everybody can come in there and say the goodbyes. This happened to me a few times in my life. Family members that I've had, I knew they were gone, but they were on.
Not to interrupt you, but that's how I had to kill my mama.
Hey man.
You know what I mean? She was at Mercy Hospital there on Lakeshore Drive and 22nd, and got the phone call that she was unresponsive, and come say your goodbye. She was in the ICU, but she had asthma, chronic asthma. My entire life, I guess hers too. And she would always tell me that, and everybody else in the family, that she didn't want to be hooked up to no tubes and no hoses and no machines. She wanted to go and go in peace. And so, we get the call that she's unresponsive, and they had her medically induced in a coma, but had her hooked up to a BiPAP machine that was basically breathing for her. And so, she had all the documentation about, do not resuscitate, no machinery, none of that. All of her family, we're there. But the hospital's like, yeah, we're going to move her up to our hospice floor. And that machinery, life-saving equipment isn't allowed up there anyway. But they still had her hooked to this BiPAP machine. And every, 20 minutes or so, she would struggle, to try to get the tubes out and then go back to sleep. Struggle. And so I'm watching this, and their reason being is like, well, we want to make sure that everything's legal with this. So we want her husband to come back. But he had been there the entire time, given permission. But like that next day, he had his own doctor's appointment, so he couldn't be there. So it's like, well, let's wait till he gets back. And I had enough. So it's like, well, fuck it. So I turned the machine off, and I took it off of her face. And she had that one little tear going down her eye, like she knew what was happening. And so it's like those motherfuckers had to make me kill my own mama, to stop
Hey,
her from suffering.
hey, man, let's say that a little differently.
Nah.
Well, you got to podcast.
I understand the sensitivity, but it's like you don't put the family through that. It's like we're telling you, like, this person is dying. Let them die in peace. But it's like, nah, you're gonna make a family member actually do it. So I ended up, cussing out a doctor and a nurse when they was like, oh, who pulled it out? I was like, I did, because y'all wasn't. And they was like, oh. And so, me, I had to share my opinion. But yeah, so when family members are on those machines, it's their life that we're talking about. But like, this is Nomad's cousin, and whatever the relationship is, there will forever be that hole that he or any other family member that is leaving us will, leave empty. So it's like, Nomad, you're going through it, hey, just keep your head up and keep striving.
So, I will say, I'm sorry to hear that whole story, man. That's terrible. I'm gonna say I kind of lucked out, and it's not by any stretch of the imagination real true to life luck. Both of my parents were in similar situations, and they both kind of happily passed just before I had to make this particular decision. And like with my dad, with my mom, I had no idea what was going on. Like I was just kind of young at the time and stupid. With my dad, it was a heart attack. It kind of came out of the woodwork. They put him on machines. I went to Florida to check him out. And I mean, I was in Florida in 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like I heard this, all right, damn, I'm on a plane. And he was breathing. It was all right. They really weren't sure if he would gain standard function ever again, but it was like we'll keep him up and see what happens. And they're asking me, do we do this thing or what? Do you have a set amount of time to make a decision, sir? And I was like, I'm not really ready to make a decision like this. And I went outside. I had a smoke, and like it was weird because I have a half sister. I haven't seen her since I was 10. And this situation, there we are for the first time seeing each other again, and just kind of weirded out by the fact that we're, I'm a full grown adult. She's fully grown, and here it is. So she comes out, she lights a smoke, I light a smoke, and we just start chopping it up real quick. How's life been? Like, where have you been? We don't talk, whatever. And like, as this is going on, he's passing. So I got, finished that cigarette, went back up the stairs, and it was all already, the decision was already made. So, I kind of lucked out in that respect that I didn't have to really be the person to make the actual decision to shut down stuff. The decision, again, was made for me.
Isn't that funny how I start off a close with the end of life conversation and how that kind of goes, and how everybody just instantly link that to something they experience. Isn't that interesting? Because everybody has that conversation to have. I don't know.
Not everybody does, man. Not every, just to put it out there.
You probably haven't lived long enough to
Well, no. There are people, my contemporaries that I went to grammar school, high school with. Some of them have both of their parents still.
Yeah, man. And I mean, I know this isn't for you. I know this isn't a parent. This is a
Right.
this is a cousin. My close buddy was in a very similar situation as to what you're actually describing. He definitely, the family doesn't want to admit this, but I'll knock on wood and say he OD'd, right? He's no longer with us. This happened last year in the summer, and that was something to be managed. Again, I wasn't in a situation where I had to make a decision there. Again, I know you're not making that decision for your cousin either, but when it comes down to it, that parent-child situation is crazy. It affects us in a very deep manner. Yeah. And shout outs to anybody who's had to deal with that or do it, because it's rough, man. That's rough.
You're gonna have to keep it with you.
It's rough, bro.
For the remainder, you got to keep it with you. However you compartmentalize that, you're gonna have to put it somewhere for sure, because that's a once in a lifetime experience that you'll never have again. And how you deal with that, how you process that, dude, I can't speak to that, but
it's tough, bro. Especially when we're all raised by our mothers. You know what I mean? Like, all of us are. And in many cases, you're raised by your mother in a single family home, and that's the person who you know best, and vice versa. To lose that person is crazy. It's not cool.
Look, and I've said it many times, that's something I never will be looking forward to. I get there, I would just say if I get there, because that's a whole other conversation when I say that. But Triple R, man, look, man, how you said that the way you said that, but I ain't mad at you for it. I'm just gonna say, man, look, however that played out for you, man, however you working with that, however you deal with that, wherever you put that in the place of your, it's like an analog in our heads, man. You put that file in your head, you put it there, and you got to keep it in a certain place in order for you to be okay and deal with life. Tomorrow's happening. The next day after that is happening. All I'm saying to you, Triple R, is, man, keep on processing that. I don't think it's ever going to go nowhere. You're just going to have to keep keeping that in its own place.
Well,
man.
it's processed and it's put in its own box, its own compartment, and I'm just very still irritated at the way the hospital staff handled the whole situation.
Yeah.
But it's the natural order that children should bury their parents. and not the other way
Not the
around.
vice versa.
True.
You know what I mean?
But
So it's like, she had to go. It was her time. Of course I'm sad, but it is what it is. We all got to go eventually. But I would much rather me have to deal with the grief of losing her than her having to deal with the grief of losing me, or me having to deal with the grief of losing my son, or kids, your children, as opposed to them burying us, which is, the natural order.
hey, you know what? That's the truth for real. For real, for real. But I can't, if I keep feeding into that, man, we're gonna go on and on. Let me get this close. Let me get this close so we can get up out of here, because some real shit that is actually going on around me right now. Um, Luckily it's died down, but anyway, that happened yesterday, talking about my cousin, man, and that whole thing about him being on the machine, that's real. This the whole addiction conversation I was having with you guys earlier, that's very real, man. And hella athletic like I am. His path just went in a different direction than mine. You know what I mean? And he's not here now. And I gotta, I don't know, in the next few days, I gotta come to grips with it. And he ain't. I can't go holler at him no more. You know, when I tell you somebody's in addiction, I don't want people to think that he's somewhere on the corner, looking like some kind of bum or anything like that. No, he was facing addiction and functioning like a motherfucker, dude. And that's the hard part about it, is you can see that guy really, really trying to get his shit together, and I mean, just pressing. He's really trying, working the 9 to 5. This is a guy that's been in and out of jail and crime and all kind of stuff, but he got to a point where he smoothed out, and he was really, really optimistic about his own life, and just being active in the progression in a good way of his own life. And I watched him do that, man. And just to see him get taken down by whatever it is, man. I don't know if it's addiction or not, but I know about what happened at the hospital, and that I don't like that. But that's a whole different story. I'll park that right there to tell you what happened today. Um, Today, I got to be very, very careful about how I say this. I'm gonna just say this: life was saved today. Life was saved today around me, and not only the people that were intended to be victimized today, but the victimizer probably saved his life today. And some shit happened around me today that I don't care to repeat on live on a podcast. I would just say today could have went really, really bad. There were children, there were adults, but there were children in the midst of it. And I had to do something. I had to do something. And I'll just leave that there, man. And golly, man, it was bad. I'll tell you guys behind the scenes, but it was bad, bad, bro. It was bad. It could have got bad, bad, but it didn't. And hopefully, I just said I might have saved a life or two or whatever, but that might be temporary, man. The way things are going right about now, it could be on and popping the next day or the next day after that. This shit that we're going through out here in this society, you guys, man. If you want change and you want to see things get better, I'll tell you this right now: you can't be an inactive participant. What do I mean by that? You want to be a participant, but you want to be inactive about it. No, you got to be active, dog. You got to put your hands on this. Just to give your children and your grandchildren, or your brother, your sister, your niece, your nephew, whoever it is, it's too violent and for the wrong reasons. Emotional people make emotional decisions. A 5-10 second emotion can cost you your entire life. Period. Just a split second decision that you haven't given yourself a chance to really, really contemplate can cost you the rest of your damn life. Whether it's in the prison system or whether you in the dirt somewhere with 6 feet of dirt buried over you. This ain't necessary. We're gonna have to figure this out. We got to. And I just saw something today that was just like, oh my God, dog. I normally, let in the neighborhood that I live in, I normally there's times when you have to definitely say, you know what, that's gonna be what it is. I can't do nothing about this situation. There's definitely those times. Then there's other times where I can do something about this. And you intervene. Just be willing to. You know what I mean? Just be willing to intervene. Shit don't, I mean, if I'd have let what happened, what was set up to happen, catastrophe, bro. I'll just leave that there, man. I just love you all. Nomad, the Nomad Network, um, Sports Chicago style, Kids of Canuck. Please support the channels, man. Some real shit happened to me today, and I don't know how I did 3 hours of this content, man. But I did it. I did it. We did it together. Y'all just don't know, man. Shit that goes on around. Oh God, dog. I'm gonna leave you guys with this. If you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. Do not, and I repeat, do not be a prisoner of your own mind. But with that being said, we are out.